Looking for what comes next? For that moment when everything finally...
1 minute!
Whichever path you choose, it starts here.
Max Gear is a high-performance synthetic gear oil designed to provide maximum protection to heavily loaded gear. Its slippery synthetic molecules and center-look additive package not only reduce wear, they virtually eliminate both gear and bearing wear. We run 1,000 horsepower through our transmission and differential all season long and never have a problem. Eliminate a variable. Drift with Royal Purple Max Gear. Pour purple, Royal Purple. You can find Max Gear at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
モータースポーツで得た高度な技術、すべてのレイズホイール一本に込める魂は永遠に変わらない。ビヨンド・ザ・レボリューション。ザ・コンセプト・イズ・レーシング。
There's no better way to test your tires than on the racetrack. That's why at Kenda Tires, we compete with the same tires we sell. And that's how the technology built into every Bethesda UHP Max tire goes from podium
a lot of performance
to pavement. Whether you're a professional driver chasing podiums or a grassroots enthusiast looking for weekend excitement, Kenda Tires are designed for your journey.
NGK, the leader in high ignitability spark plugs, is proud to announce the launch of its Mod Performance Ignition Coils. Designed and built for performance, Mod Coils feature custom primary and secondary windings to increase output and performance. Mod Coils provide maximum levels of dielectric strength, voltage insulation, and durability. Level up like the pros. Choose Mod Performance Ignition Coils from NGK, the official coil sponsor of the Formula Drift Pro Spec class.
Look at that backdrop. There is not a cloud in the sky, but we're going to make some of our own. This is round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. We are here at Utah Motorsports campus, just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. We're kicking things up. Here we go. So Ryan Literal will lead. Ryan's hurt chasing him down.
Frederick Osmo doing what Frederick Osmo does, which is lay down a perfect V-run.
Osmo cannot be shaken. Oh yeah.
The track's really fun to drive. Really challenging. The zones are challenging.
He's finding the door. He's banging on it. Does he answer?
Keep pushing.
Yeah, he has his throttle up right before he grabs the handbrake.
Applies pressure. Big angle from Robert Stewart. Trying to overshoot that inside clip. Oh, and Chelsea Denofa goes off. Chelsea Denofa gets the win. Can you feel it? Are you elevated like the fans that have lined up all the way to the street? Yes, you can. That's right. We are elevated 5,000 feet in the sky. Well, not the sky. We're on the ground, but we're elevated from sea level, 5,000 feet. This is round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. These people, ravenous fans, lining up to enter UMC, Utah Motorsports Campus. For round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship, we're going to be your tour guides. I'm Jared Deenda. Joining me by my side is the Teal Toog, the Blue Beanie, the Diesel Destroyer, the Barbecue Barbarian. This is Jacob Gettens. I'm the Deanderthal, down on the ground. The field reporter, Laurette Nickel. We'll bring her in for all the updates on what's going on. We had an amazing day on a Friday, and previous to that on Thursday with seating. There's officially a 2024 Link Engine Management Pro Spec Champion in a Canadian, simply known by TLO, Tommy Lemaire. I saw the fist pump there, Jacob. The Canadian crusher over here.
Oh, man.
TLO does the backflip early on. I got to say, these are them. I just want a margarita and just want to chill here.
These chairs are great.
These chairs
huh?
are a vibe.
I'm loving it. The
yeah.
sun's in. I mean, it's great. The weather's incredible. I talk about this being my favorite venue. This is why. It's great.
I mean, so much so, like, show the
Yeah.
Look, he literally has.
That's a Utah tattoo.
That's like right there.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean, look, so it's good. My body's a passport. Yours is a hexagonal.
I'm catching up. I'm catching up.
I appreciate it. Well, Jacob, this is your first event you announced last year, so here we are. So happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't get you anything. I'm sorry. I'll get you a Rockstar later.
All joking aside, the big headline here is we could crown a champion here today. The scenarios, basically, Odie needs to do better than James Dean. That's as clear cut as it can get. We have never ever had a champion crowned with a round left to go, or rounds for that matter, right? But there he is, James Dean, taking a look at him. Ryan Turk, our judges also Brian Egger, Vernon, and that of Robin Ishida. James Dean, what do you think? I mean, all eyes are on him, but he's made mistakes. He does have kryptonite, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, he does. But I will say his confidence in practice, everything that I've seen from this weekend, he wants to win this year. He wants to shut this down. He wants to go into Irwindale as a vacation. His practice looks amazing. There's almost nothing he hasn't been able to conquer, and this track is no exception. But the only kryptonite that he's got left to face is going to be that of Odie Bakshi's. As Jared said, Odie has to be one full bracket ahead of James Dean to keep this fight and to push it into Irwindale. There is so much weight on his shoulders right now, but I mean, if there's anybody that can drive well under pressure, it's going to be Odie Bakshi's.
Hiro Manoa, we made so much history this year. Hiro Manoa, the youngest driver ever to podium in Formula Drift history. He supersedes that of Kenshiro Gushi many moons ago. We used to call him the future. Now, here he is. He's a veteran, 21 years into the game.
Yeah.
He started just, a little older than Hiro Manoa, but also, go back to Prospect. First ever female to podium, and that was Amanda Sorensen. Her brother competed in pro, so making a lot of noise. Adam LZ, his story, but Frederick Osbo as well. A three-time champion, sitting 4th overall in the championship. There he is going against Connor Shanahan, Rookie of the Year. That's another dialogue that we talked about. All this talent coming over, far from rookies. You can feel a buzz, a fervor. The outside zone 1 being a little tumultuous, people being a little outspoken. The drivers meeting getting a little, hey, drive it. Shut up and drive.
Well, that's the thing. At the end of the day, everybody's got to drive the same track. Everyone's got to compete in the same space. So some drivers are figuring it out. Other drivers are not. But we are finding that as the laps go down, people are just getting better and better and better. We saw it in seating on on Thursday. It's going to be wild. I'm super pumped for this. And this track layout, it is tough. It is very tough. I talked to a lot of drivers. They actually have to supersede where the rumble strips are going into 1. You can see it there. The judges, the marshals, everybody else is trying to make this as easy to see as possible for outside zone 1, but really it's almost blind. This is where right-hand drive cars and drivers are going to do better because they're going to see it. But let's take a look at our top 32 drivers, what the bracket looks like right now. Tons of really, really cool battles in here. Ones to highlight, obviously, James Dean got to take out Ryan Littoral to move on. Odie Bakshi's got to take out Diego Higa to move on. Those are our 2 big ones, but even if that all gets cleared up, we still have who's going to be taking 2nd, 3rd. There's still a lot more going on at this event.
Yeah, and here we are painting this picture in this story. I don't know if they're going to follow the plot exactly.
I don't think so.
I just drew up. I'm joking. Ryan Turk sitting there in that number 1 spot. He gets a bye run. Von Gitt Jr. not here. A few drivers not here, so he gets a bye run. He's up here watching. I walked up and I was like, oh, I get it. You're just kicking back. But again, the stories. James Dean. But James Dean, we're talking about that of Odie Bakshi's, the Rookie of the Year. And how crazy would it be if we do crown a champion here in Utah? I think Irwindale's going to go bananas.
Yeah.
Because it's like no holds barred, because that's our Monaco, that's our Talladega. So I think it's going to just be absolutely insane. Look at the points gap there, 104 points. That is just massive.
It is a big spread right now, but there is not many points between 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and even 5th. So a lot more can kind of move around in these bottom brackets. There's a lot of bragging rights for top 5, a lot of bragging rights for top 10. But the big part of this too is starting to look at some of the ages of these drivers. These young drivers are really starting to push up. Brandon Sorensen, Connor Shanahan, Simon Olsen, Hiro Manoa. These are all young drivers who are taking out veterans. They're taking out champions, multiple-time champions. So it is getting wild. And then taking a look at our bottom, from there down, I mean, there's still lots to go. It's it's a big title shift when it comes to drifting right now.
We see this with a lot of different. I always reference skateboarding near and dear to my heart. Just know, friends with Bucky Lassick, name drop. But I've seen those. Hanging out with those guys, changing of the guards over in vert skateboarding. There's still respect, but it's just changing, doing things differently. Car build, setup. Also, the mental capacity. Not that with age comes a cage, as Travis Pastrana says, but also the wisdom is something that you can't bat an eye at, because you look at Forsberg, you look at Odie Bakshi's. Where did obviously Simon Olsen get his success? He got that from Odie Bakshi's and him banging away on this S chassis. Look at Prospect. The first 4 battles, it was the drivers that had to fight for their seating spot that actually got the win in the first 4 battles today. So that's where it's just like everybody's a winner before they're not.
Yeah, it's such a monumental shift in what we're seeing with driving. These young drivers coming in with almost no mechanical sympathy. They have all this time. They've been watching their heroes for years and years. They're learning and they're picking up from all of these other drivers that come before them, and now they're superseding it. Connor Shanahan, a great example of that, obviously doing incredible things over in Europe, bringing it over, and then a driver we just can't stop talking about, Hiro Manoa. Not only a very talented driver on sim, but we forget he's competing as well in Japan in series, and he's worked his way up through those series. His whole family drives. Like, this is a legacy family that we're seeing in action right now.
His mom, happy birthday to his mom yesterday, and I'm probably older than her, so I was laughing because I remember when Hiro was like, I grew up watching you drive. We're at that point, right, where it's like I grew up watching you drive. And Brandon Sorensen, leaps and bounds. Again, Amanda Sorensen, his sister, making some history, but Brandon really making a name for himself. Amanda kind of blowing up the internet. She's traveling all over and driving well herself. Had some issues, but there's the man, Odie Bakshis. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride, and this is opportunity to seize it. It's his championship, not to really lose, but to really gain some ground, and he is really trying to force James Dean into an error. They could potentially meet in the Final 4, and then again that would cause Odie to advance on, and then that would still separate James and Odie. So they kind of have their own fate in their hands.
We've seen this happen before. We've seen it come down to the last run. We've seen it come down to the last battle. So there is no foregone conclusion in drifting ever. Every time you think you know what's going to happen, the script gets flipped. It's absolutely wild. So much more to fight for. And I'm here for it.
I love it. So the gates are open, and we have some fans streaming on in. So thank you for joining us here in the building. The temperature a little bit warm, but speaking of the heat and being on the ground, we got Lorette Nickel, Mrs. Fancy Pants. Lorette Nickel, down to you. What's the vibe check? What's going on?
Oh, well, you're so sweet. It is warm down here, and the temperature is only going to rise. Now, you can see Odie Bakshis behind my shoulder, and I normally try to get a pre-event conversation with these guys, see how everything is going. Odie is so focused, and I really respect what he's doing here and the work that he's still doing. And so he's doing homework right now. He didn't have a lot of time to tell me about what's going on, but we know that Odie drives really well under pressure, and when he's focused, man, he is on fire. James Dean's team is around the corner there, and the team, everyone's happy. Everyone is light. There was, of course, a lot of work going around. The team was running around and checking everything, and James is out here and just getting ready to do the dang thing here in Utah. I can't wait to see what unfolds.
Thank you so much, Lorette Nickel, and some great insight there. And again, Lorette Nickel, thank you so much. And from what I understand, she's not going to be joining us in Irwindale, but so she's going to be doing some F1 stuff at COTA. So excited for her. That's going to be awesome. So we'll see who we have field reporting out there.
No idea.
Maybe a special guest.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. Taking a walk again through this course, we talked about the D-cell zones. Let's talk about that, because this is an all-throttle track, except see those little red lines right there.
There are 2 spots on the track where you can predict someone to slow down. One is going to be a very small initiation when it comes to the D-cell portion of that, and then another small speed checkup before you go from outside zone 1 into outside zone 2. I don't even call it a D-cell. I think it's just a checkup at that point.
Exactly.
It's usually a guy just grabbing the e-brake really quick, settling the car in. But yeah, this is all throttle the whole way through. It is very difficult. If you dip a tire off track, sometimes it's all right. Sometimes it takes you out. So
yeah, it's a natural D-cell, right?
Yeah.
Taking a look at this, if you are a betting man or woman or them or they, go ahead and bet away. Go and scan that QR code. I got my director in my ear screaming who he cheers for.
Yeah.
I guess he could.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, no, I can see it happen. Yeah,
I don't
be crazy.
Morally, I could. No, I'm just gonna say. I'm just kidding. There is Odie Bakshis What's he looking at here? Reviewing the tail of the tape, just seeing the story? Is he watching us right now? What's going through his mind right now?
Could be going through old runs. Could be going against his competitor runs. Knowing Odie, he's probably going through his own and taking notes and seeing where he can improve.
Great foresight.
I don't know where that is because he's looking great.
Yeah, he's looking good. Alec Robbins, Dylan Hughes. Let's take a look. Alec Robbins leaving the start line. Here we go. Dylan Hughes hit 202 miles per hour on the Bonneville Salt Flats earlier this week. Congratulations to him. Doesn't need to go that fast, but he does need to keep it on the track. There goes Alec Robbins, that first outside zone. Transitioning into the second outside zone. Alec Robbins diving inside, shuts it down. Oh, what a bummer for Alec Robbins. And again, taking a look at this, and it looks like, again, Dylan Hughes shutting it down. He doesn't have to complete the entirety of the course.
Yeah, hard to say. I mean, Alex completely stopped now on track. Normally, if it's a small mechanical things like blower belts, which we see unfortunately happen pretty often, they'd swing back around. But let's see here. Everything looks pretty good off the bat from Alec Robbins. Gets in the zone a little bit late, kind of cuts some of that corner out. Dylan Hughes being a little bit hesitant right there. It looks like Alec, just something happening now. Dylan Hughes, great job of getting the car short up. Throws all the angle at it to slow things down because that could have been really nasty. Look at that. Dylan Hughes very
blower belt. I know he has blower belt issues.
Yeah, it could be, but I have to see. He's turned around now. That sounds like it's breaking up. Yeah, that sounds like it's breaking up. He is not happy. But yeah, we'll have to see exactly what transpires there. If he's going to pull a 5 or get back out there if they already know what the issue is.
I mean, it would benefit him to use.
Yeah, you might as well.
Everybody, for those that don't know, you get one competition time out. That is a 5-minute allotment where you can repair anything or take a look, inspect. Yesterday we saw TLO who won again that Pro Spec Championship. It was a spark plug wire. He thought he had a grounding issue, and so again. Competition timeout brought to you by Fast Orange. We'll see. And he doesn't use it.
I don't think so, no. So I'm curious what that could end up being. That's very, very strange.
And Dylan Hughes, good job to him. No fault of his. He followed Alec Robbins like a moving clipping point. Once the lead car shuts down, run is over. That's another for Alec Robbins. Dylan Hughes out front again in that Permatex. Well, Purple GT Radial BMW transitioning outside zone 2. Coming in hot. There's Alec Robbins. He needs to make it up. He's going to try to force an error on Dylan Hughes' side. The dozer. He plows through outside zone 2. Going to outside zone 3. Flirting with the dirt. Oh, and Alec Robbins exits stage right for Robbins in that Kenda Tires Nissan Z. So that's going to really solidify a dominant performance there by Dylan Hughes. And again, Alec needed to force an error from Dylan the Dozer Hughes. Like I said, Dylan, congratulations to him, hitting 202 miles per hour on a motorcycle in the Bonneville Salt Flats. Absolutely awesome.
All right, let's take a look at this run. So Dylan Hughes out front, a bit of a left foot brake to get the car settled. Does do a pretty good job through the first outside zone. Robbins, it doesn't look like he's got any mechanical now, but now through the second outside zone, Robbins gets caught just a little bit as Dylan enters in, holds that zone quite well, transitioning into the third, and this is where Alec makes the dive in. Now Dylan is going slightly wide through that third outside zone, but Alec just overcommits through that section. As we can see right here, tries to get to the inside, gets pulled into the dirt, and that is all she wrote for Alec Robbins, while Dylan Hughes dipping a tire, throwing a little dust, getting a little crazy there, and just a wild run. I would love to break it down with Alec Robbins a little bit later to understand what happened there, but yeah, just a rough go.
And here we go. You're going to know the outcome here. Go ahead and slide him right for Dylan Hughes. So Hughes will advance on. He's going to be going against Ryan Turk in the top 16. All right, let's throw it down to Lorette Nickel. Lorette?
Odie, we all know what's at stake here today. What's the pressure like for you?
There's multiple things, right? Like, I want to finish off the season strong. I've been in the hunt, I feel like, the whole season. And the other pressure is I want FD to have an awesome show. And, if there's going to be a champion crown, have it be at the last round, not here. So I got to do my job and just push. And at the same time, I got to think about myself and, drive the way I think I should drive, just to one battle at a time. So yeah, just gonna go out there, have fun, and not lose track of, hey, one battle at a time.
Okay, and what was the homework you were doing?
I was watching runs of myself, of other people, because I can't really, I don't get a chance to do that. So my spotter sent over some videos, and it's really nice to see kind of like a bird's eye view of your runs. And where I feel like I can stay wider, where I could, burst more speed and, just improve. Amy does a great job of telling me where to improve, but there's nothing like seeing it for yourself.
Odie, thanks so much. Jared?
All right, so again, just to clarify, what a gentleman.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying, like, look, I got to think about myself. I want to have Formula Drift as a competitive series to have a good competition. A good competition creates a good show. But just the story unfolds. So here it is. So James Dean needs to do basically James Dean needs to do the same as Odie Bakshi's, given the point difference, 104. So if say they both go out in 32, James Dean is your champion. It's really, the pressure lies, no pressure, Odie, but it lies on Odie's shoulder.
Yeah, it's do or die. I mean, really, it's do or die for both drivers. The upside is that James Dean will have another event to win it back. This is it for Odie.
Yes.
This event is everything. So he's got Ryan Literal up. And Ryan's talked to him earlier. He's got basically a full engine rebuild ready for the end of the season, and he's feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, I feel like he's gone to the gym. He's leaned down. He's moving out. He looks really fit, and I think that's kind of an embodiment of his vehicle as well. So here it is. James Dean leads, and again, if you recall, even as recent as Seattle, he overcooked it in the outside zone 1, and those are full throttle Ford Mustangs, and man, he is right there on that outside zone 1. He dials it in. Here we go, and look at the attitude of that car, lifting that front right tire up. Ryan Literal, he's right there. He is hanging with them. So a lot of eyeballs on James Dean, but Ryan Literal, and he dives in on the inside. Unfortunate for that Sunoco Sim Magic S15. He dives on the inside. He does regain that position, but really quick at transitioning to outside zone 2 to 3. You saw him dive in. Again, a lot of eyeballs, a lot of focus on James Dean. He absolutely nailed that outside zone 1.
Yeah, this is not an easy zone. It is not a typical smooth curvature like we're used to seeing, but James Dean has got this completely figured out. Look at that. Absolutely crush his first outside zone. Now, Ryan Literal in the chase, completely bathing in smoke while James Dean puts on a clinic for the second outside zone. Literal now starting to dial it in, getting a little bit closer. And then here, Literal just transitions with a bit too much angle into 3, cuts the line pretty heavily to get back into the fight. But James Dean looking absolutely textbook yet again. This is a driver who, under every circumstance, finds a way to win. And that's exactly what we saw there. So James Dean doing a great job through that first outside zone. Ryan Literal, I mean, he's not out of this fight yet. He still obviously has to lay down that lead run. We know Literal can throw a ton of angle at any minute. He can be super high commitment and do some things on track that not a lot of drivers can do. And that's what he's going to have to do here to try and shake off James Dean.
And we are getting an update here. A competition timeout, courtesy of Fast Orange for Ryan Literal.
Okay.
Ryan Literal calls, again, that competition timeout. Castro and Haley was intended to be next.
Yeah, I know. Speaking with Haley Spotter, they were running into some issues. They had some contact earlier in practice, and then I know Castro was doing some work as well. So I believe, I would assume at this point, both of them are under a timeout as well.
Yeah.
So we got a few drivers. I think we're going to run out of clocks here momentarily.
Yeah, we got a lot cooking and got a lot going on here.
Yeah.
I'm also hearing from the pits that Robbins has had a kill switch issue, according to him.
Oh, okay.
That is
Makes
a bummer.
sense.
So here's a good time to look back at yesterday as Tommy Lemaire, TLO, gets the overall championship. What a vibe yesterday. Tommy Lemaire, he kind of had a good composure similar to that of Odie Bakshi's. He seemed surprisingly calm, and then pulls up to the line, ready to do battle, and boom. He said he felt like a grounding issue. It wasn't firing right, and there is the problem. You can see that spark plug wire, and it's separated, so that's going to arc. It's going to go to your headers. It's going to cause some catastrophe.
Yeah, he's going to be down an entire cylinder. But, yeah, I mean, really the only thing that was going to stop Tommy Lemaire yesterday was mechanical, and that ended up being the case. But, yeah, I mean, he is just a phenomenal driver, one that I've been lucky enough to watch kind of compete in Canada. It's cool. It's really cool to see full circle, and obviously the Canadian in me very, very proud to see another Canadian up on the box. So I would definitely keep your eyes peeled to see what else is coming out of the Great White North.
Yeah, and he said it, on the podium. He talked to Loretta. He says, I'd love to make the jump. It's obviously like anybody's program. You need the support. It's, you got to have that, financial, supportive, backing, tires, manufacturers, many different facets. So we are going to update Jonathan Castro, as you said, running out of clocks here. Castro did call a competition timeout, unfortunately not able to make it. So Dominican's finest, unfortunately, has to bow out. So Andy Haley, the habanero hobo, the Drift Wizard,
Spicy homeless man.
The spicy. Oh, there.
Oh, yeah, Sopa.
Yeah, Sopa's a drift wizard.
I
now.
love it. I love it.
So this is a simple victory here, a by run. Lay out and listen. Evil Auto Works, again, that spicy BMW of Andy Haley advances on to the 16. That's not where you want to go, bud. FYI, when you go to battle on 16. Got some clarification there on competition timeouts, because that could come into play later on in the story.
Yeah, I just checked in to see if Andy ended up using his timeout. He did not, so he still has that to save. And I mean, those are critical. Those are like gold.
Yeah, and it's come down to many different scenarios over even just yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, so Haley advances on, did not use his competition timeout. Unfortunately, Jonathan Castro unable to get his vehicle up into a running condition. And again, Ryan Littoral, we are on a competition timeout against James Dean, the 3-time champion, 104-point lead. All he needs to do is match Odie's finish here at this event. It bears repeating for those that are either just tuning in or just, it's kind of, banging your head against the wall. Hey, guys, James Dean could potentially wrap it up, okay?
Yeah, it's, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself on it, but it's, I feel like every round is just history. We're just making history.
We talk about championship at Long Beach, which is round 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at this. We talk about the future, the OGs, the OG future that is Ken Gushi against, Brandon Sorensen, 20 years old. Just a cool. He's cool. He's a cool cucumber, man. You talk to him, he's got good posture, he's got good cadence, he's got a very talented family. His dad comes from, desert racing and trucks, and so that lineage has definitely been his DNA inserted into obviously his kids. And they have a younger brother that's super talented. Yeah. He won his first race.
He's coming up quick.
Yeah. So you are who you surround yourself with. So there it is. And then you can see Ryan Littoral, his team. Again, that Sunoco Sim Magic S15 collab. Again, you said fresh engine, fresh vibe, and throwing that hood on. So it looks like he is going to make it. We'll try to get a report from Lorette Nickel and see if she could find out what went on down there.
Yeah, the toe plate's out, so I'm super curious.
And here we are. We are seeing that Sorensen and Kenshiro Gushi. Brandon Sorensen, United States Air Force BMW, Kenshiro Gushi, that Greddy Motti's GR86. Brandon Sorensen does exceed. You see him hitting that cone there. Again, that'll be a small deduction for him, exceeding that race line on the outside zone, going to outside zone 2. Good posture, good composure from both the drivers. Look at, both the cars very settled. Minimal corrections, if at all. Ken Gushi, Brandon he dips a tire, but Ken Gushi overcooks the outside zone 3. It's what we saw earlier from Alec Robbins going off and solidifying it for Dylan Hughes. A big mistake there for Ken Gushi. That's going to be incomplete in the chase.
Yeah, it was super interesting. I did notice that Brandon was making a few corrections, especially through the second outside zone. So just to see, and we see there that Ryan Little is making his competition timeout. He's going to get back to the line, face against James Dean, so that's always good to see. Let's take a look here. So Sorensen, good initiation, gets into the first part of that first outside zone, dips the tire off just a little bit, pushes a bit wide. Now Ken Gushi, love the very paced and slow transition to get in there, because it looks really good. He does an amazing job to mirror. He's on a perfect line through there. Now through the third outside zone, Brandon Sorensen starts to go a little bit wide, but Ken almost kind of takes the bait and goes a little bit wider. So just not able to keep that forward bite in the car to keep in the pocket. But I really love what Ken did in the first, especially the second outside zone. You can see there, Ken just slowly starting to wash out. That rumble strip basically just disappears, so you can kind of use it for a little bit, but if you don't get back on the line, that's it, you're in the dirt.
Yeah, we saw some of the Prospect drivers, notably, I can't remember who it was, took that, and the car just hopped 1, 2, I think it was Chestnut, and it just violently spun around. So one, you're going off course, so don't hit that red and white rumble strip on the outside zone 3, because it's going to lead you off the cliff, basically into the dirt, and that's exactly what happened to Kenshiro Gushi. And I like what you said there, took the bait. You didn't lead him out there, but obviously you saw Brandon dip. That's going to obviously be reflected in the outcome here, but Ken Gushi went all the way for it.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be, and I mean, right now that there's not a massive divot on the edge of the track, but as this goes and as more drivers start to dip a tire in there, come the end of today, it gets really nasty and really dangerous out there.
We did get an update from Lorette Nichols. She says that there was a loose front suspension component on Ryan Litterall's car. There's a vibration in the front of the car, so he wanted to remedy that. Here we go. Now we got Kenshiro Gushi out front of that first outside zone right there, and you got to think Brandon Sorensen. This is where basically, yes, he's a young driver, but maybe a little bit mature for his age, and he shows that composure. He doesn't need to do anything crazy because Kenshiro Gushi does have that incomplete. This is the right tempered approach that Brandon needs to take in order to get the win. And he still says, hey, I'm here. So unfortunately for Kenshiro Gushi, and here we are, the OG original Gushi, looks like with that incomplete, that will seal his fate.
And Ken did have a really good round here, I believe it was last year. So, I mean, we know that Ken can drive very, very well at this track. He looked great in practice, but just a small mistake, pushing a little bit too hard. And Brandon, yes, veteran move, driving a bit above his years, not going overboard, understanding that, like, hey, I can be a little bit further off in the first and second outside zone. Third outside zone, I need to close up the gap a little bit once I'm in a safe spot, and that's what he did. He finished really strong.
Yep.
Like the last half of the third outside zone, he really pushed in pretty deep there, and it was a veteran move from Brandon Sorensen.
Yeah, that was even given, just obviously, one, his age, and obviously, compared to Kenshiro Gushi, how many turns Ken Gushi's been around since day one, 2004, So there we are.
That's a lot of laps.
That's a lot of laps, a lot of tires. And you could see there we are looking at Odi Bakshis and Diego Higa. That is a battle that everybody's watching. Obviously, there we are looking at, that is James Dean's pit, and they are looking on emphatically at the result of, notably, Odi Bakshis. We know the outcome of this. Unfortunately for Ken Gushi, that mistake nails the coffin in for him, and Brandon Sorensen gets the victory. Sorensen, that United States Air Force BMW, moves on to the 16. So congratulations to Brandon Sorensen. So here we go. We're going to revisit the second half of the James Dean Ryan Litteral battle. And he needs to advance on here, but again, he does need to better Odi Bakshis, so a lot more eyeballs on Odi Bakshis as well. Ryan Litteral will lead, as Lorette informed us, had a shake on that front suspension, hopefully remedied that in a Sunoco Sim Magic S15. And James Dean is AutoZone Mustang RTR Spec 5. I know the Funhaver off-road team out at Crandon is watching on emphatically to see who and what is going to happen here. All right, Ryan Litteral initiates in that first outside zone. Looks like he got rid of that shake, no problem for him. Does barely just exceeds that race line and now go into the second outside zone. Ryan Litteral, little left foot brake. You see that front right wheel stop, but James Dean, that allows him to catch up here. And now transitioning to that last outside zone. I'm assuming we're going to get a side-by-side. Litteral on it. Wow. Great run by Ryan Litteral. You talk about a new build, a fresh build, fresh state of mind. And there is, again, James Dean's team looking on.
Yeah, this wasn't, I mean, Ryan Litteral is putting up a fight, that's for sure. I really like the aggression he's got, the precision that he was able to put into it as well. It's very easy in these situations to be overwhelmed or push a little bit too hard, as we can see, James's team looking on and just wondering, is that enough? Is that, what's going to happen moving forward? How does this run end up shaking out as the both drivers are going to come back up this beautiful track and wait for the judge's decision as we get back to our airforce.com replay. So let's take a look here. Ryan Litteral, good initiation, pushes out, so misses a little bit in the first outside zone, just a touch, but right on the line though. And James Dean playing it smart, keeping back a little bit, knowing he's got a ton of speed, and that's where he starts to reel in Ryan Litteral. He's got a ton of angle through the second outside zone, a little bit of a left foot brake to keep it short up, and then through our third outside zone, now James Dean gets the proximity and then settles in, mirrors that angle perfectly, stays about a half a car length back. Enough aggression to still be in the fight, to still put on a good show, but not so much that, he could create a mistake.
All right. So again, we've seen this with James Dean kind of looking on at other drivers and, know, we've seen him celebrate championships not from his vehicle, but from the sideline. And here we go, throw it to James Dean, gets the victory. So championship hope still alive to be solidified here in Utah. Great effort by Ryan Little.
Yeah.
That was great. Can't wait to see him at Irwindale. Fresh build, fresh state of mind, like I said. That Sunoco, Sim Magic. Go rap out with him. He'll be at the Sim Magic booth alongside his Sim Magic teammates. I know Freddie's over there. You got Nick Novak. Happy birthday to Nick Novak, by the way. As Jeff Jones and the Fuel Lab Fuel Systems vehicle. Derek Madison, Jeff Jones. This should be a fun one. Two definitely wild childs. Jeff Jones will lead in the Evil Auto Works Prisma Nissan 370Z. D-Mads, just every turn of that wheel gives him some more knowledge of how this car is going to act. Jeff Jones, all right, initiates into that first outside zone. Man, seems to have a great sight of that outside zone, going into outside zone 2. And Derek Madison, a little bit of struggling there, tries to find that second outside zone. Takes a shorter line, now going to this last outside zone. D-Mads, you saw him jump up, but then has to back down. And Jeff Jones, you know,
I love it.
He made a comment, I don't think he'd mind. He says, you know, it's really hard to see that first outside zone. You know, bad vision, getting old, I don't know. But for making that claim, he had 3D vision right there, man. That was absolutely superhero.
I think at this point the drivers are purely on timing and instinct when it comes to that first outside zone. And the more laps they put in, the more comfortable they look. Jeff Jones looks real comfortable for a guy that's complaining about his eyesight. This was great. So gets the initiation, looks good, comes into the zone. I mean, basically what he's doing is cutting out about 10 feet of that to make sure that he can sink in the rest of the zone. So great job. And then Derek Madison struggling a little bit, trying to basically feel out this car. Now starts to get things dialed in. Now look at this. D-Mads, that transition, gets back on throttle, gets into the side of Jeff Jones and just adds more angle and keeps pushing. So great job from both drivers. Love to see the aggression at Derek Madison. And Jeff Jones, love to see, you know, takes a little bit of a licking and keeps on ticking. So it's my favorite. When they get a little bit of a like a love tap, stays on the throttle, pushes through the rest of the zone.
Yep, don't loop it. There's the signature smile from James Dean. I'm buzzing, mate. There's Becky, his lovely lady, cheering him on, being supportive.
Oh man,
you know, he's got to reapply that sunscreen. He's just a little closer to the sun.
Yeah, he's at least a foot closer than everybody else.
And he's Irish to add to that, so yeah, he's got to reapply that sunscreen.
They were doing an interview with him yesterday, and the videographer had to stand on a box just to get him in frame.
And I'm tall. I'm still looking up at him.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah, but very talented. You know, and that's what I love too. And not taking anything away from other champions, but you know, here we are. It's a battle between Dean and Odie for the championship. But you know, Odie being a gentleman, so is James too. You know, he's going to be the first ever 4-time champion. You know, he went back to back to back, pre-COVID hiatus. Vaughn, ring, calls Ireland, says, get on over her, buddy. And just what a story, man. You know, catching fire at Long Beach at Media Day. It rains. He wins in the rain. He saw all the elements, man. Dude, he's an airbender. Yeah. This guy's got superpowers. I mean, he's and again, just a kind young man, man. Just love his energy, love his family. They're so supportive. And just the Irish drift fans in general. They're awesome, man. And again, not taking anything away from any other country or any other driver, but you got to love it.
Yeah, it's just so cool to see, and as you said, very humble, very, you know, I mean, he's definitely boisterous, but just quiet and kind of put together and very reserved. And I mean, I'm sure we get a few Guinnesses into him. That changes pretty quick. But yeah, just a great ambassador for the sport of drifting in general.
Okay, so we have minor contact. We have minor contact, so this is a courtesy competition timeout. Neither of the drivers have to utilize it, so 5-minute allotment, small contact, inspect the vehicles, get back out there. So let's throw it down to Laurent Nickel, who's with the machine.
He jumped straight out of his car and said, I hate the top 32. And it's such a pressure cooker situation, isn't it?
It is, especially top 32 is hard because it's so early in the competition. And then when there's like a 5-minute rule and you've done your piece and you're just sitting there at the line, you know you're after doing a good run, you're like, oh, you have so much time to think about not messing up. And I just tried to play it smart. We had a great lead run, and in the chase, did my best. And I'm so glad and relieved to be in top 16. You know, every point counts at this point. The team have been doing an amazing job keeping the AutoZone RTR Mustang running well. They put in a lot of effort ahead of this event, so I'm very grateful for that. And we're just trying to gather as many points as we can. You know, it's crazy. I'm so, like, proud and grateful to be in this position at this point of the season, and I just don't want to, you know, throw it away. So fingers crossed we can keep it on track and drive hard, put on a show for the amazing fans that support us, and just do our best.
James, thank you so much for the insight. Jared?
Thank you so much, Lorette. And again, just transparent right there. You know, just all right, here we go. This is very telling of the championship. This has championship implications. Odie Bakshi, this is a must-win for the championship to stay alive. If he gets knocked out, James Dean will be your 20. And Diego Higa, just like that, goes off in that first outside zone. Diego Higa, the talented Brazilian driver. Odie Bakshi does need to complete the run, as Diego Higa does have an incomplete in that chase position. Still, Odie Bakshi needs to complete this portion of his battle, and he's right on it. Textbook run there from Odie Bakshi. So looks like Higa might even give him a little, yep, you can see that side skirt being strewn off. So there it is. Woo.
Yeah.
Odie and his team, a little bit of an exhale.
Yeah, big deep breath there, so you can see, I mean, Odie floats it right up the first outside zone and basically drags Diego Higa into deep waters. Great initiation there. I will give credit where credit's due. Diego Higa does an amazing job to get back in the fight, where Odie Bakshi's out front looking very smooth. His transitions between 2 and 3 all day have been incredible to watch. They're snappy, but they're smooth, and they're very precise. It puts him into the third outside zone in a perfect spot. But yeah, Odie Bakshi's definitely on one right now. He is not feeling the weight of this at all. He's driving his game. He looks very comfortable. Nothing, I mean, like I said, these transitions, this is somebody who's got so much confidence in the car. And yeah, now at this point, he just has to put down a really safe but aggressive chase. Well, Diego Higa does put that front wheel into the side of Odie Bakshi's car. It looks like he's just maybe trying to shake that side skirt off. So it was just a small boop, but I mean, even a couple miles an hour when you make contact like that, it can mess up some stuff. These cars are on a knife edge.
Yeah, and you know, Diego, you saw him, obviously that mistake, comes fighting back. You know, I think he had something to prove. He'd love to play spoiler, you know, obviously. Again, James Dean, bit of an Odie fan right now. You know, obviously doesn't kind of want to, you know, let's call it what it is, not Tanya Harding him, you know, take him out. Why, you know, we know history. Look at that. I'm surprised Odie Bakshi just pulls right to the line. It didn't look like it was wheel to wheel. It looked like that front right got into the left side skirt. It looks like Matt Sopa is going to go up to Odie Bakshi and just remove that side skirt so it doesn't impede. And, you know, obviously with Diego Higa, that wouldn't get in Odie's way. But again, basically, Diego Higa, even if he has a good run, Odie Bakshi doesn't incomplete, championship is still alive for Odie Bakshi and or James Dean.
Yeah, every battle at this point, even between them, this whole left side of the bracket is it's going to be very, very tense when it comes to the championship. And then when we start to get into second and third in the championship, that moves more over to the right side of the bracket as both drivers now coming out of the line.
All right, Diego Higa, a little slow crawl there on that Diego Higa JDM Supreme 86 FRS. And here we go. Oh, Higa bows out. That's a wrap. He fists it. So there it is. That's just right there. Diego Higa says shuts it down. That's going to be an automatic advancement for Odie Bakshi. All right. As far as we are the storytellers.
All right, on to the next one.
Yeah, we are the storytellers. Guess what? We got to wait a couple hours before we find out. You know, we'll say their names in the top 16. We won't find out again till top 16. And also, they can meet in the final 4. So again, they can meet in the final 4 if Odie goes on to the finals. And the championship hope is still alive.
Yeah, he would basically have to win the event at that point in time in order to kind of stay in the fight. So it's still
even if he goes just on to the finals.
I'd have to double check that math. Yeah, is that still the
100%.
case?
He just needs to be one spot better.
Okay.
Because it's 104 points, 100 points for the win, right? So was it 20 points that separate him? So if he advances on, so on and so forth.
I mean, you still want to win at that point, so that way he's got a bit more of a points, you know, a better points system at that point going into Irwindale. But yeah, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves here.
No, we're not. Dude, this is it, man. This is dessert right now.
To keep going, man. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet of drama, and I love it.
And it's barbecue. It's all meat. It's all meat.
Speaking my language.
I know. Do you have a barbecue tattoo yet?
I don't.
Oh, brother.
I don't. I know.
Come on. All right, Irwindale.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, got it. Nico.
Yeah,
I found Nick's tattooing So maybe we'll bring him to Irwindale and we'll get a barbecue tattoo. Let's leave. All right, so let's see what we got moving on next. Again, here's another, again, newcomer. Oh, this is kind of internal affair, right? So, you know, Rome Charpentier, this is his old car. Connor Shanahan, the shadow, living in the shadows. You know, RCP sitting currently 14th, Shanahan sitting 10th. The Rookie of the Year battle, Hiro Manoa up in 3rd, Shanahan sitting, as I just said, 10th. So Shanahan, Charpentier, a lot of sounds going on right now. Connor Shanahan, Rome Charpentier. Surprisingly, these guys have not seen battle. Look at that winning percentage from, that's just this year, given that Connor Shanahan, no rookie by any means in drifting, but a rookie in the Formula Drift Pro Championship here in the States.
Yeah, he's definitely made a massive impact coming over. I mean, there's not many drivers that are as aggressive as he is. I mean, I feel kind of bad for Rome for the repair bills, but I mean, that's how he drives no matter where he is driving, and that is all out and with zero mechanical sympathy.
And you called it, you know, a couple things. Do you think he's bummed that he missed round 2 Atlanta? You know, obviously went over and did Drift Masters. Is he kind of kicking himself? You know, kind of had a tumultuous year over there. I knew everybody's partying, right? You know, including James Dean, but also, you know, he came over and won that event. You know, so the flat tracks is where he definitely has the power. Talk about power. Goes in that first outside zone. Now transitioning through that second outside zone. Here goes Shanahan. You can see good angle there. Placing that car absolutely perfectly. That E36, that, again, Red Bull vehicle. Now that last outside zone. Tell you what, Shanahan, Rome Charpentier, he knows how that car is going to react. I mean, did you go down there and talk to Connor and or Rome?
Not this weekend. I haven't had a conversation with him, which is rare for me because normally I'm like just living in those pits.
Right.
But yeah, I know. Just speaking with a few different people here, that they go heads up. They're definitely all about as much carnage as they can get. But yeah, Connor, I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job out in the front. Rome looks hesitant. I don't know what it is, but he's not diving in the same way. He doesn't have a ton of angle. He's trying to keep up with that older BMW. I mean, we could get into
His car.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into a lot of the different suspension geometry within them, but these older BMWs are insanely fast, and it almost looks like Rome is having a hard time just keeping up with it. You can see it here, pulls out the angle, almost drives straight for a period of time. He's at angle barely, but he's just trying to keep up with Connor. Now, my only question now is Connor's blowing off a ton of tires. This track is notorious for its tire wear. You can easily get 2 laps out of it, but Rome is going to have a tread advantage at this point. So that could play into his favor. He could really, really start to put on the pressure, and then Connor's going to have to reserve a little bit and make sure he doesn't blow the tires off it. So.
You know, and you got to think, you know, this is something that really came to fruition at the midnight hour, talking about Shanahan coming
literally.
Over. Literally, I mean, everything was kind of set in not concrete because we broke it up to you know, welcome in Connor Shanahan entering the Formula Drift Championship. This program was put together. You know, Shanahan and Rome had a deal. Says, Shanahan, you drive my old car, I'll build this. Coincidentally, used to say give moderns hell on his back wing. Rome's looking at his old car being driven by Shanahan. You said hesitant, but I got to point it out. Rome was great on that last outside zone. It seemed like, as you said, you know, a little hesitant on outside zone 1 and 2. Came out of 1 a little early, but 3, he really drove it home. So here we go. Rome Charpentier now out front with the fresh air. Shanahan tracking him down again, clearly sitting 10th and 14th. Talking about Shanahan out in the 10th spot, and Shanahan looks like both of them knocking out that cone. We'll have to take a look at the overhead camera here in the second outside zone. And there we go, Shanahan diving in. Rome Charpentier, he talked about maybe having a little bit more tire than Shanahan. There goes Shanahan. Looked like a little correction, maybe hesitation on that transition to outside zone 3. And diving in, look at that, into formation goes Rome and Shanahan. So let's take a look. I really want to look at that outside zone 2 to 3, that transition. Gets Aaron Jesse, the eye in the sky, or the smash cam.
Yeah, the overview is going to be really telling here. So Rome, bit of a flick initiation there, gets into the zone really early. Neither driver goes 3 wheels out, which is good. Rome pulls out some of that angle to get a bit of a gap there, and that is kind of what the judges are looking for. You need to pull some angle out with the design of that corner. Now, here's where we see Rome looking really good, where Connor has to force the car to initiate. He didn't have a ton of angle coming through there, and then this is classic Shadow Shanahan here through the 3rd outside zone. He is just on his door, basically putting his front wheel behind the front wheel of the lead car, and he just sticks it. So let's take a look here one more time. Yeah, I really do like the way that Rome is able to get through the first outside zone. Made it a little bit tricky for Shanahan to be able to transition through that. And then right here, oh man, just able to get the back end of that car to snap over. And then, yeah, right there.
Okay.
That part is definitely a little bit tricky for Shanahan. He just didn't get as deep into the second outside zone. But look at Rome. Hand out the air. I think he's giving him the you're number one in my heart as they go through the third outside zone. It's tough. It's tough.
This is a good battle.
Yeah.
Again, given I asked if you went down to the pits because I wonder if they kind of just put a divider, you know, like a divider, like you're a child taking a test at school, in elementary school.
Putting your books up.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not looking and peeking over. This is what I want to see. Watch Shanahan's chase on the right. I want to see that transition.
Yeah. So tough to say there. Both of them made mistakes in the first outside zone. Second outside zone, it does look like Shanahan's a little bit deeper, and then this is the spot that Jared is talking about. This transition. Yeah.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah, it was just like
that angle.
It was a little awkward, I think is a way of putting it. But then both of them look great for the third outside zone. So
outside zone 2.
Yeah.
I think that was a point I was focused on and really kind of stood out for me. Just when we were looking at that FPV with Justin Smash, that overhead, that angle looked cool, looked like a video game.
Yeah.
But it really kind of emulsified what it looked like. He just kind of had a slow transition, but it wasn't bad as you saw higher and wider.
He had to wait a lot.
Yeah.
He was very much waiting. So.
Here we go. Shanahan or Charpentier. Slide him left for Shanahan. Rome Charpentier. Shanahan. That's the right call.
Yeah.
Outside zone 2, they were fairly similar on leads, but Shanahan way more dominant. He was right there to the door of Rome Charpentier in the chase. So Shanahan, the shadow, the Irish driver, Formula Drift Pro rookie, again a champion in his own country, but Shanahan. So there it is. All right, look at that.
So yeah, now Odie Bogchis, in order to stay in this, Connor Shanahan up next. This is
another Irishman.
This is not an easy bracket.
Oh, snap. Snappy Shanahan.
Yeah, all of Ireland right now. And can you imagine?
Yeah, and again, they're active. You know, like
the
Brazilians and the Irish are very active on the chat. I'm sure they'll chime in right now. I'm looking over here at the chat. They're saying a lot of different things. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. redacted.
Yeah, redacted. All right, so Jeff Jones, Derek Madison, we're going back to this. They had that little contact. That was a courtesy comp timeout. Both of them get a 5-minute allotment, not utilizing their fast orange competition timeout. So the winner of this going against B. Sorensen. Here we go. So again, this is the second line. Keep in mind. So Derek Madison, that Fuel Lab, Fuel Technologies, SNT. Oh, look at that front right. Did it looked like it?
It might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been the rear. Looked like it might have caught the edging of the curb, and that's what caught him. So we'll have to go back and watch it again, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, as Jeff Jones, he doesn't even need to do this. Derek Madison was leading Jeff Jones in the chase position. Yeah, and like it looked like the wheel just snapped almost out of his hand. You saw that, it looked like, I thought an arm actually broke because the front right looked wonky, but like you said, it might have hit the curb. Let's watch it again here.
Looked good to start, just gets in a little bit deep. No, it's hard to say. Yeah, it's like the car unsettled when they went over the rumble strips there. And I mean, that is a key point here. It's a conversation I have with a lot of drivers about how they're working through that. Yeah, it really does. It just looks like the car unsettled coming over those bumps. So, just really, really strange. Just more or less lost. I mean, he could have also just come out of power. There could have been an issue with that. But either way, the car essentially just shut down when he came over that section. So, wow. But it looks like, yeah, Jeff Jones is going to be moving on.
Yep, there it is. Jeff Jones gets the win. Derek Madison, unfortunately, that Fuel Lab, Fuel Technologies, S15 knocked out. Jeff Jones, Evo Auto Works, Nissan 370Z. See what kind of dance he's got for us in the top 16. What are you guessing? I mean, Deadpool, I don't know.
Maybe bring back like the Harlem Shake.
Oh my God.
Yeah, throwback.
All right. Well, we'll be right back. Speaking of shaking, don't go anywhere. Shake, shammy, roll as we are here. Top 16. That's how it's shaping up. We're halfway through our top 32. Thanks so much. We'll be right back here from Utah.
In drifting, everything's a mental game.
Boom! Perfect.
If you're not focused, you're off your game.
Ryan Turk is back at it. He wants it.
extreme performance racing, battle tested in Formula Drift for the last 4 years. XPR contains Centerlook additive technology, ultimate Z DDP wear protection, and superior high temp performance. Pour Purple, Royal Purple, the synthetic expert.
Drifting is not just a sport, it's culture, it's in our blood.
It's a fine line that you have to walk. You have to be able to adapt on the fly and be able to drive on your instinct.
Tires are what we live and breathe in Formula D. We couldn't do this without them.
Formula Drift is brought to you by Kumho Tire and Fast Orange, the official hand cleaner of Formula Drift. GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. Discount Tire Centers, California's #1 family-owned tire and service center.
Welcome back here to our top 32, the Rockstar Energy Drink top 32. Actually, I just cracked a can of Rockstar Focus. 0 sugar, lion's mane, 200 milligrams of caffeine, energy and mental boost. What are you drinking, Jacob?
I've got the Rockstar Recovery. Had a long day yesterday of not doing much, so I need recovery. I know.
You're playing cornhole over at the. There we go.
There we go. I know.
Rockstar Focus.
Label out. Cheers.
Yeah, I just need a little vodka, and we're Golden Girls. Like I said, I mean, you asked and you shall receive. I'm just lamping over here. Yeah, this is
This is great.
If somebody, I guess, called me the dude because of my locks.
Oh,
and my vibe. It's just like you're.
The dude abides.
Man.
Yeah, the dude abides.
Need a white Russian. All right, here we go. Hiro Manoa, Kyle Mohan. Mohan, the last starfighter. Hey, shout out to Mr. Mohan. I hope he's feeling better. I saw a video of him at Hot Pit slam on a scooter. I hope he's okay, man.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Oof, I hope he's all right. But hey, happy birthday to Mr. Manoa, Hiro's mom. But Hiro making history, the youngest ever to podium in Formula Drift history. That Juku Racing 86. Here goes Hiro Manoa. Kyle Mohan looks like he sees just a little bit. Barely walked. Take a look at that again. Hiro Manoa powers on through into that second outside zone. Dialed. Set it and forget it. Come on. Say something for the rest of us. This guy, I mean, how many laps did he take on his SimMagic setup back at home in Japan? We'll ask him. Maybe, or Lorette will ask him. His English has gotten better. His driving is refined. I mean, this kid he's growing up before our eyes, not over the years, but just this season.
Yeah, and his driving's getting, I mean, it's just dialed and more dialed. Look, it gets into the zone super early, hangs onto it, gets back onto the power all the way out. Now, he does have a hesitation here, getting into the second outside zone. A bit more of a checkup than I would like to see. I'd like to see him on throttle through that whole section, but does a good job. And Kyle Mohan having to play catch up from that initiation. Manoa does such a good job and gets through that entire zone. It's very, very difficult to kind of keep up with that amount of speed. And Manoa getting quicker and quicker as well. One of the concerns that was originally brought up was that he's not the fastest driver on track, but he's now stretching his legs a little bit more, dialing more speed into it as he's getting more and more comfortable with the car. So every round he is definitely developing. He's trying new things. He's going faster. He's going deeper. He's just having fun with it.
Just moving the switches, dialing it in. Again, just 10,000 laps, he said, of previous rounds.
I believe it.
On the sim. Again, he is an absolute example of sim racing, utilizing the simulator, taking turns and burns, and then just applying it here. So, yeah, it's awesome to see. Kyle Mohan would love to see him on the box, but here he is. This is just, I don't want by any means say changing of the guard, but we see this in many different sports. We've seen it in action sports, ball sports, and here's Hiro is.
It's like when Nigel Houston came into skateboarding. People were like, whoa, wait a minute. Like everything you thought you knew, everything you thought possible, completely changed. Tony Hawk throwing the 900. Very similar.
Yeah.
Backflips in moto. I mean, we get all these like crazy echelons.
Kerry Hart, Travis Pastrana, that progression, what's going on now? Our Willie, and in Nitro Circus, that guy's a weapon.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, here we go. We got Kyle the Menace Mohan, Hiro Manoa, and here goes Kyle Mohan into it. Looks like he sees just a little bit there. A small deduction, but not an incomplete. Now going to the second outside zone. Good angle from him. Hiro Manoa, that allows him to just be right there. Looks like he backs off just a little bit. Kyle Mohan in that last outside zone. Way shallow by Kyle Mohan. And it was a good run, had that tire off on that first outside zone. That would just be a small deduction. Didn't go all the way off, didn't explode it, but that last outside zone, that might hurt him.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle's is definitely progressing as well. I mean, even just from the beginning of this weekend, he's starting to get things really pushed in. Unfortunately, just didn't get things progressed fast enough, but lights the tires back off, getting into the second outside zone. Like to see him a little bit deeper. And then Manoa doing a good job here just to hold the car back, not over push, not overdrive it. And then Kyle just transitions from 2 to 3 a little bit early, and that puts him on a much narrower line there. So Manoa, I mean, not doing anything crazy, just knowing that he has to put down a decent chase run, and that's what's going to get him the win here.
There it is. Hiro Manoa gets the win unanimously. Congratulations to him. Unfortunately, again, Kyle Mohan knocked out. Well, guess what? Again, we're outside of FD. Everybody's doing different things. Dylan Hughes, he's down there with Lorette Nickel, 202 miles per hour. Lorette, I know you're familiar with two wheels, but I know your husband's an absolute legend. But you got to give Dylan his flowers right now, and I'm glad he's here with us, man.
Oh, 100%. I saw him yesterday and just jumped out of the car. So excited for what you did at Bonneville Soft Flats, going over 200 miles an hour, Dylan. And that's been 14 years in the making for you.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the craziest things I've ever done in my life. But at the end of the day, we're here, we're safe, we're healthy, and it was just an absolutely epic experience. So to be able to do that, check that off the list, 14 years in the making, then come out here to FD and come and play with all the boys, especially with a super fresh looking car. I'm just tickled pink.
Yeah, love it. And with this sun here in Utah, with the course just baking, how is this track evolving?
Yeah, so we ran practice fairly early in the morning this morning, and then obviously once we get into competition, the sun's going to come up and the intensity is going to get higher. So I think metering your aggression, especially in those leads, is going to be key, because as you can see, I dipped a tire in outside zone 3. Haven't had an issue with that all weekend, but I think as that surface gets up in temperature, it makes it just a little bit more slimy, and this is a game of inches. So try and avoid that, and then turn 1 is just the craziest turn in the FD circuit. It's just so weird to drive off of the track to hit a zone and then drive back on the track across the rumble strip. So you literally cannot see, I cannot express that enough, you cannot see the turn 1, so you're going to see a bunch of people flying off and a bunch of contact there. So, but yeah, we're all in the same boat, and at the end of the day, we're out here ripping skids, and that's all. So it's all good.
Dylan, thank you very much. Jared.
Thank you so much, Lorette. Great attitude there. Congratulations, Dylan. We'll see you in the 16. We'll see which one of these drivers moves on to the 16. Talking about Rad Dan Burkett and his Toyota Supra. He swings in front of the 3-time champ, Chris the Force Forsberg, in his NOS Energy Drink Nismo Auto Parts all new Z. So bouncing and bobbing there from Rad Dan Burkett. And you saw him go quite a bit off, blasting those cones in that first outside zone. Forsberg now dialing it in there in that chase position. Right out of the gate, that was kind of a big swing, and again, not seeing a ton of practice from Dan. Don't know if that's what they anticipated, but that's a hard act to follow. Let's look at it again.
Yeah, big swing there. So already getting the initiation going at that point. Tries to push it in super deep, but then just has to get back on throttle to push out. And then Chris a little bit further back, and then Dan getting real wild, getting into the zone way too early, throwing Chris off his line a little bit there. And then now Chris is able to actually get things dialed in. So Dan just being very, very aggressive. And it's good to be aggressive like that, but what it's resulting in is not an amazing line. But right. I love to see that Dan's pushing the limits. I really like that he's trying to drive as hard as he possibly can, especially going up against a multiple-time champion like Chris Forsberg. So Dan able to get things dialed back into this point. Now Chris has to tuck back into the pocket, does a good job there. So yeah, kudos to Dan for really trying to drive outside of his comfort zone. But right now, what it leads to is some inconsistency when it comes to line. And then Chris, having to hold back a little bit, make sure Dan's in the correct spot before he can dive in.
All right, so now they're going to alternate positions here. And these guys, good friends. You know, they used to hang out back when Dan and his wife were out in Southern California, down the street, shops now. Well, he went cross country. He's one of those drivers, you know. Obviously, Adam LZ's been out in Florida for a long time, but Chelsea made the move, obviously, a few years ago. Rad Dan moved Rad Industries out to Florida. So a lot of Florida mans, including yourself, buddy.
Florida's calling, man. There's something about it. I don't know.
Good,
Loving
you can have it.
Yeah.
The humidity.
I'll message you.
Yeah, I'm good. I'll see you in Orlando.
East Coast versus West Coast, baby.
West Coast is the best coast. I'm just saying. I thought I was going to slowly move east. We went to Arizona for 15 years, but we moved back. Defected. We're like, no. Control, delete, reset.
Regressed, yeah. Regressed back to the West. Yeah.
We missed traffic and taxes, so we moved back to California. Here we go. Christopher Forsberg. He is going to lead in the NOS Energy Drink. Niz Auto Parts, all new Z. He's on those GT radial tires into that first outside zone. A little bumper tap there, exploding the cone. Now into this second outside zone. Chris Forsberg gets out there. Rad Dan, you see him massaging to get out there in his beautiful Mark IV Supra. Now into this last outside zone. Let's see this transition. Ooh, Rad Dan Burkett. Too early on that transition. We saw this from some of the Prospect drivers, but Forsberg riding that razor's edge. Whoa. Little bash there across the finish line. Dan pushing a little too hard there.
Yeah.
Across the finish, but that was a great lead run there from Forsberg.
Yeah, it was.
I got it a little too rad.
What's interesting is Chris, I mean, this car looks like it's really like a soft setup. It looks a little bit bouncy, but he's really holding it well to this first outside zone. Dan takes a little bit of the angle out, but the transition is not at the correct time, so then Dan has to dive in, settle back in. Really hard to do that, and like props to Dan for getting the car settled in the correct spot. And now Chris looks dialed. He looks really, really dialed. The car is set up in a way that he's able to handle that rumble strip coming into that zone. It's something I was watching a ton in practice.
Watch how early his transition into outside zone 2 is. Watch this.
So
look,
right there.
Even way before.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So that's the biggest thing. Dan had to hold back longer and longer and longer, but just push the car in a little bit too early and then has to pull back into the pocket to get it into the fight once again. But yeah, I mean, Dan, this is the most aggressive we've seen Dan drive, which I'm here for it. I love it. I'd like to see this kind of a full attack Dan. And then Chris, it looks like he pulled a bit of speed out of the car to make it a little bit easier to drive. It's a little more floaty, a little smooth. So both drivers changing things up a little bit, and it's interesting to see.
And there it is. Chris Forsberg will get the win. Chris Forsberg gets the win. I don't think his kiss was on his list, though. But was there a little Hall & Oates action? All right, so Christopher Forsberg moves on and talk about this. Old and new. Rookie versus absolute vet in the 16. Manoa versus Forsberg in the 16. We'll see that again after the halftime break, and we'll introduce them at our United States Air Force opening ceremony. So our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32 party continues. Next up, we got Kazuya Taguchi and Ben Hobson. Every battle is a banger here in Top 32. Ben Hobson, he's stoked, he's in it. He got second in his seeding brackets. Kazuya Taguchi, you got to think, he's pre-seeded. How much practice did he get? Sometimes those pre-seeding battles might benefit you because you're getting more turns on the track. Ben Hobson, unfortunately, talked about getting hands on the car, wasn't able to go into the finals, but talking to him and his lovely lady yesterday, he's feeling it. He's liking it. He's getting more familiar with the car. This is where he won his Prospect Championship last year, so he's familiar with the track. He likes it. He loves it. Let's get some more of it. Kazuya Taguchi, up garage ISR Performance 86 initiates. Ben Hobson aggressive and bounces and slaps into the tires. That's a Nitto on GT Radial Crime right there. And unfortunately, that is not how you want to do it, and looks like that thing is Bambi on ice. All right, let's run it back.
Oh, wow.
Ooh-wee, Rick.
That's a lot of angle.
Ooh-wee.
Ooh-wee, Rick.
Yeah. Look at me, I'm a pickle. Unfortunately, he's in a pickle right now, as we can see. Kazuya Taguchi. That was a big hit, little bunny hop from Ben Hobson.
Yeah, so there is a decel zone going into initiation. What we're going to have to start looking at is how long was he decelling for? Did he light off at the correct time? Was Ben coming in too hot? So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here until we get a few replays going. Because the first instinct is like, oh, Ben came in too hot.
Right, good.
Which he might have.
Great point.
Yeah, he might have. But let's see what we can assess from this. Oh, man, that is tough to say. Ben came in hot, for sure. Kazuya, I mean, let's see here. So 3, 2, he's at the 2. Ah, man. It's hard to say because you do have to float the car in to a certain degree into that zone. You're not going to be on throttle right away. It does look like there is some wheel spin going from Kazuya right off the bat. Without seeing like the miles per hour to understand what the speed differential is between the two, my initial instinct is that Ben came in with a bit too much speed.
You have to anticipate that.
You do.
And you have to adapt. And even if he was slow rolling into it, Ben, obviously eager. A lot of motions playing into this. There's that decel area. I mean, it's a scotch. It's that natural initiation, as you said. The car's going to naturally slow down, or as we call it, decel. But it's not massive. It's not like he's pulling a handbrake or anything.
Well, and the other thing too is like when we talk about decel, what it indicates is a speed declining. So obviously coming into it, let's say he's doing 60 miles an hour into the entry, he hits that decel zone, he might drop down to 55 or 50.
Yeah.
But Kazuya may be actually floating out and still staying at that 50 before he then accelerates. So he may not be decelling per se, but he may be keeping the same speed. So it becomes very, very difficult. So let's take a look at it in real time. That might give us a bit more of an idea. Sometimes slow down, you don't realize the closing speed of the two cars. So, yeah, and I mean, Ben goes front wheel on front wheel there as well, which doesn't help the situation.
And then now, again, that decel area is denoted, and we define that decel area. That's off of data, off of the vehicle. So we're taking all the information from the vehicles, and that's how we dictate where the decel zones are.
Right. Yeah, it's taking a look at a lot of the different drivers and understanding where they're decelling naturally, and then that is put there. So. Yeah.
This is where other drivers, they chime in. Even the fans are chiming in. They threw it up on the chat, and they're saying, the fans watching, they're saying 75% that is absolutely false. So.
Yeah.
So we stayed on to keep sliding out.
Usually pretty good at reading lips here. Rome talking about handbraking into that section. Connor looking very stoic. Yeah.
Reading lips, and he puts his tongue between his
giving me instructions on how to get around the track.
Rome is shadowing Shanahan.
Yeah.
Good attitude there.
Yeah.
Obviously, they just went against each other. Now Rome is a Shanahan fan.
Of course.
Also, another Shanahan fan is James Dean.
Yeah.
Because talking about Lorette Nickel, talking about RCP. Lorette, down to you.
Thanks, Jared. Well, I'm down here with Rome and with Connor, and what an incredible team this has been and organized, and you wanted to make mention of that.
Yeah, for sure. It was a real honor to battle Rome. It sucks that it was top 32, especially this weekend when Rome has really found his feet with the car, and the guys have found lots of problems what he's been struggling with. So I can't thank this guy enough. Honestly, he's been like my dad in the USA, picking up hats and taking care of me like a little child, and gave me the opportunity, of course, to come and showcase my skill in Formula Drift. So a massive shout out to him. But yeah, unfortunately, it's business, and we both gave it everything. I came out on top this time, but I'm sure we'll go again another time.
Sure. And looking forward at the brackets with top 16, we know what's on the line here between James Dean, a very good friend of yours. You're going against Odi Bakchis, who is the title contender that could give James a run for his money. What's the pressure like for you?
There isn't really pressure, I would say. It's more I would love to do James a solid and take Odi out, of course. I never battled Odi. I kind of honestly, as a Formula Drift, fan of Formula Drift years ago, Odi was always the guy what I was like, that guy does sick chase runs. He was always the guy who was developing the game. But for me, I want a good result. I want to get back in the box for myself as well this weekend. And, I'm trying to do it as steady as possible, but it's game on. If I can help James to win his 4th championship and make history, I'm about to try to do a job for sure.
Okay. And speaking of the job, RCP, you brought this man over to the U.S. I mean, has he just jumped above the expectations that maybe you had for him?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Especially telling me he's never really drove a left-hand drive car and jumps out and wins the 2nd round. That's pretty impressive. I mean, I've drove right-hand drive not very well. I struggle extremely hard. So to watch how talented he is right out of the box, it's insane. Yep. And then it's kind of it's a full-on honor to have him drive our car and then chase him at any level. So it's an honor to have him here with us, with the team, and it just elevates the whole team. So appreciate him being over here. Thank you.
His adaptation skills are incredible.
Everything is. The ability that he can pick up a track in the first lap, and I'm like scratching my head. I've drove this track many times. How did he figure it out so quickly is insane. So, and he's even on the wrong side. He's still not dropping tires. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and Connor, one of the things that one of the drivers yesterday in Prospect said to me is that he was going against Tommy Lemaire and he knew that he could trust him. Do you think that Odie can trust you in this next battle?
Yeah, absolutely. I always drive full tilt. You know, sometimes maybe too much full tilt. I'm trying to wind that back a little bit now, but yeah, you know, as I said, I'm a guy who likes to beat people fair and square on the track, and if I ain't good enough to do the job on the day, I go back to the drawing board and learn. So for sure, Odie can expect a big battle once we put on a show. That's what it's all about, and yeah, I'll give it everything, and I'm sure he's going to give it everything as well. You know, he's the one with the hunger. I know what it's like to be in that situation, fighting for championships. It's a stressful day he has ahead of him, so he's going to be a lot more nervous than I am, so I'm just going to be quite chill. If I take the win, I'll be happy. If he beats me fair and square, I'll also be happy.
Rome, anything you want to add?
Just thank you to the whole opportunity of this. It's crazy. A couple years ago, this was a dream to drive in Formula Drift, and now I'm literally out here with some of the best drivers in the world, and it's an honor.
I love it.
Thank you.
Love it for you guys. Thank you so much. Jared, to you.
Thank you so much, Lorette. All right, we are back here, and it's a split decision across 3 ways. One of the judges sided with Kazuya Taguchi. Who's at fault here is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Judge's assessment. One of the judges is saying Kazuya Taguchi. One of the judges is saying Ben Hobson, and the other judge is saying shared fault. So I throw it to Vernon, who actually says that Kazuya Taguchi's at fault. Vernon, how did you come to that result?
Well, if you look at the entry, right? So the moment he pulls the e-brake, he also uses the foot brake, so 4 wheels lock up. And in my opinion, that is why Ben Hobson had no way to go. Just, well, try to get over him. Here you can see it on the live. Look at the front wheel locking up. Yeah, and that's the reason for me why Ben hit him.
All right, appreciate that. If we could throw the headset over to Robin Ishida. Robin Ishida, you said that Ben Hobson is at fault. And taking a look at Ben, again, in contrary to Vernon, how did you come to that result?
Yeah, so right here, see right when Kazuya Taguchi locked his tire up, Hobson was kind of already gaining speed going towards him. And also, I was looking at where the hit happened. It was before the outside zone 1, and it is closer to the decel zone that we did have on the map. So I figured that the lead car, you know, there was tire locking there, but it could have been, you know, a quick left foot brake or whatever. And the front tires easily lock up if the rear tire is loaded and if the front is lifted a little bit. So I pretty much put it on the chase car. So it's pretty much opposite, like a complete opposite from Vern.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's, it shows there's so many different ways that you can look at something like this. So, wow.
Yeah, different perspective. And again, that's that perfect storm. And we're not going to talk to Eggert here, but he said shared fault. So I think that's kind of the I don't want to say fail-safe for lack of a better term, but
yeah, it's definitely a strange situation. So yeah, but
all right, and we got cars here. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But shared fault, so it's going to come down to the second run. So here we go, moving on to our next battle: the Rockstar Energy Drink Toyota GR Super Nitto tires going against birthday boy Nick Novak. The Kenda Tires Novak Racing BMW transitioning into the second outside zone. Here goes another 3-time champ dialing it into that second outside zone. Novak a little bit of a shallower line, but does have good proximity. Let's see how it transitions here. Novak going to take a look at that overhead camera. Let's take a look at that from different angles. Look at that. It looked like he threw a little bit of dust up even on that last outside zone, right? Didn't seem like he blew I don't know, blew a little dust out there.
It's like Osmo's using every single inch of the track. That was wild. So let's take a look here. So Osmo going wide, flicking in that initiation. Good job from Novak to time that out. Osmo gets into the zone nice and early. Novak right on the throttle, holding really well to that first outside zone, and pulls back a little bit as Osmo slingshots going into our second outside zone. Now Novak pulls a little bit of the line out, but keeps that proximity and gets into the pocket there near the end of the second. Into the third outside zone. Look at this. Frederick Osmo, perfect clinic. Good job. Pulls out of the zone maybe a touch early. I think that's just because he went in so deep in the initial part of that he wasn't able to keep the arc as fluid as what he would have liked to. But yeah, both drivers looking really, really good through the second outside zone. Would have liked to have seen Novak maybe with that proximity a little bit longer, and you can see there Osmo coming out of the zone just a touch early. That's because of how deep he went through the first part of that third outside zone.
All right, let's switch them up right now, and Ryan, Sage, and I are conversing about that previous battle. Hobson throwing up the horns. He's still got a great attitude there, but it's going to come down to that second run where this is just a unique scenario because of who's at fault, and basically it's zeros across kind of the board, but it's really going to come down to, because again, now Hobson will lead with Kazuya chasing him down. We'll get to that when we get to that battle, but right now it's Nick Novak out front, and Frederick Osmo out back. And Nick Novak is not back. He's
front.
He's
front
back. He's the front Novak.
Back to the front.
Back in the back of the yak. Nick Novak. Here we go. Kenda Tires BMW. And here we go with Frederick Osbo. Let's see if the birthday boy can take it to the top. Nick Novak initiating in front of the nose of that Toyota GR Supra. And initiating, nice job by Novak. You know, you could barely see him blowing over those cones. And the second outside zone, Novak, you talk about using all the track. He's out there as well. Did not see the little brown cloud. Now going to this last outside zone. There is, again, the robot-esque of Frederick Osbo. Look at the proximity, just dialing it in. Hey, a great lead run by Novak.
Yeah.
And being challenged, again, both these guys. Shout out to Chris Reese, little pixie dust watching, tuning in.
So let's see here, Nick Novak, a little bit more of a straight line approach, doesn't float out as much as a lot of drivers do, does dip one wheel out, comes out of that first outside zone a touch early, now going really deep to the second, almost enters in too early, has a good job filling out the rest of it now. Osbo does a pretty decent job there in the chase, but I'd like to see him actually sink a little bit deeper through that zone and through the third outside zone. Doesn't quite have the same line as Novak. I'd like to see him a little bit further back on the car. So a little bit more to be desired from both drivers, but Novak really on one. I mean, trying to get as much speed out of it, really pushing that car super hard, trying to outrun Frederick Osbo without cutting a ton of line. Adds a bit more angle halfway through it, and then Osbo right here, not quite the same line or quite the same angle, but does a ton of proximity through the majority of the zone. So that might be the only drawback. Obviously, proximity is something we want, but sacrificing line and angle to get it, and not always the best tactic.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's take a look. Getting some results, and the judges analyzing. There's Ben Hobson. You wonder how much damage the car sustained as well. You know, again, that shared fall, so they get hands on the car. Here we go.
Check out the side-by-side. So we kind of know what happens in the lead from both these cars. Taking a look at the chase. Yeah, I mean, Novak, Osbo pretty parallel through that section. But I will say Osbo able to get the chase in significantly better and in sooner through the second outside zone. Now we're getting into the third. Yeah, really tough to say. Both drivers on a very similar line through that part, and the leads are pretty similar. So I wouldn't be shocked if this goes one more time, unless there's something I'm missing here. In my opinion, it probably comes down to the first outside zone, who did a better job there, which could be Osbo in the lead. But Novak had a bit better of a chase, so real tight.
And here we go. Let's see if you're right. Frederick Osbo, Novak, slide him left for Frederick Osbo. He gets the win, and yeah, just that finite little refinement is, I think, just the equalizer there. So yeah, judges going for it. So here we are. You know, really, Robbie looking over at me. Osbo had a better lead.
Okay.
All right.
Works for me.
Yeah. So
I'll take it. That's why they're judges, and I just talk about it.
Yep, exactly. Welcome to the Hurt Locker.
Yeah, right. Welcome to Thunderdome.
We can, you know, this is their role, and this is our role, and we're here to elaborate. You know, actions speak louder than words. We just put an exclamation point on it. Adam LZ, Daniel Stuckey, Dan Stuckey here. Now moving to Oklahoma, and again the Floridian. I feel like him and Cletus McFarland, like the king of Florida. You know, right there, of content creators over there. All right, so Adam LZ, hats off to him and his team, man. You know, getting on the box in Seattle. He's feeling good. You know, he thought he wrote the car off in St. Louis, and he did, but sold some shirts, got the support. Here he is. Adam LZ currently 5th overall in the championship. How epic would that be? Jumps up here in his LZ Manufacturing BMW Drift HQ, but Stuckey would love to rain on his parade in that M-Spec Performance S chassis. Here goes Adam LZ right there on that outside zone edge, and going to that second outside zone. Stuckey definitely needs to play catch up here. It looks like LZ pulling away from Stuckey, taking a shallower line. Pull that right tire up on that front right. Wow, unbelievable run there from Adam LZ. Whoa. He is right there. Again, another little pixie dust run.
Man.
Woo.
Going back to the BMX days, just grinding the ledge there. That was crazy.
He had pegs on his pegs on his T37s.
I would not be shocked.
He did a bar spin in St. Louis.
He did do a bar spin. So yeah, I mean, LZ doing a really good job. Misses probably about 10-15 feet in the first part of that outside zone, and then just throws on the boosters here, and then Stuckey trying to keep the line and then pick up speed, but not able to, so then cuts the line through the last half of this, and then really has to cut to get into the third. But yeah, I mean, LZ out front just laying down a clinic. So I kind of want to see here where it goes wrong for Stuckey, because the initiation doesn't look too bad, starts to close the gap, and I think right there, just isn't able to get on throttle at the right time, gets caught up in the smoke, gets a little bit lost, and then from there it's just catch up. So this track is not forgiving on initiation. There are certain tracks where you can kind of make up ground. You know, even like Atlanta, you can almost cut a bit of the track and make it up, but out here, if you miss that initiation, if you don't predict when they're going to launch out of the first outside zone, it's kind of all over after that.
Yeah. Again, like you said, a clinic. Oh, look at that. Oh,
I love that.
That was totes adorbs right there.
Totes adorbs.
Here we are taking a look again at Stuckey. He's out front. Adam LZ, a lot of eyeballs on him, and just like I said, hats off to his team, building that car before Seattle, in between St. Louis, I mean weeks, and just all concurrently with Adam's schedule, you know, filming, traveling, you know, it's crazy, so it's really cool. So Daniel Stuckey out front, Adam LZ, the Drift HQ, BMW, got the Breezy on the roof and Breezy in the hand when the party's on. Here we go, talking about party, here we go to the second run of this party. Daniel Stuckey initiates into that first outside zone, gets a bit wonky. That's definitely 2 tires off. That's gonna hurt him, and that does affect Adam LZ in that chase position. That's hard to follow. We saw that earlier with Forsberg and Dan Burkett now in the second outside zone, transitioning into that third. Daniel Stuckey now dialing it in. You can see him just refining it, twisting the screws, and Adam LZ banging doors across the finish line, makes his presence felt. So
getting a little spicy there at the end.
Knocking on Stuckey's door. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little, how's your father?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Knock knock.
Twist his wheel off. Grab him by the wheel.
Grab his wheel and twist it, yep.
Grab him by the wheel and twist it.
Yep, that's exactly how that quote goes. All right, let's take a look here. So Daniel Stuckey in that ECU Master M-Spec Performance S chassis. So, man, just had to almost reinitiate there as you see that cone going into the solar system there. And then, yeah, just really, really grippy, it looks like, from Stuckey. Just not able to get the car to float out like he's looking for it. And it does make it a little bit difficult to chase there, and Stuckey missing big chunk of the third outside zone. So, and then Adam, you know, having to close that distance really quick. You can see here, Stuckey gets it out and then has to add more and then get back on the throttle again. And yeah, I don't know if he quite went 3 wheels off. I don't think so, but not a solid lead there. It was a solid 2. I don't think it was 3, but yeah, it just seemed like Stuckey was fighting the car a little bit, and yeah, it sucks. I mean, Stuckey's had some great practice runs. I mean, one of the coolest pits here, if not the coolest pit here. Yeah, I mean, you got to go over and play some cornhole, man. Like,
dude,
it's a good time.
You don't want to play cornhole with me.
No, you've got to
smoke you.
I believe you. 100%.
I'll smoke you like brisket, baby.
Oh, what about horseshoes? You look like you could play horseshoes.
Brother, I got a horseshoe tattoo.
Nice.
But I also have.
I was going to say a butterfly tattoo.
I have a rib.
Do you?
I have a rib. All right, here we go. Adam LZ, Dan Stuckey, and Adam LZ gets the victory. Congratulations to Adam LZ. Moving on, Daniel Stuckey, just like you said, that lead run just needs some refinement. Look at that. We got a packed house here. Thank you so much to Utah fans. They were out to the street. If you don't know it, I mean, what would you say, half a mile long?
Sure.
I'd say half a mile.
Yeah, like 3/4 of a kilometer.
Yeah, all right. So as we're talking about barbecue and the fans, vibe check, down to you, Lorette.
Hero and I were just talking about this track, and we are going to see him on the track next, top 16 against Chris Forsberg. And so this potentially could be the changing of the guard. We have our young guns against our legacy drivers. What are your expectations going against Chris Forsberg?
Yeah, he is so great driver, so I cannot wait to driving in top 16. And I love this track because this track is so exciting when I was driving. And this track has a high speed, so for me it's good. So yeah, I want to good battle with Chris Forsberg.
Is outside zone 1 tricky for you?
A little bit, but I was practicing the simulator. So maybe that outside zone 1 is good for me.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Hero. Thanks so much. Jared?
All right, Hero Manoa, again, English just gets so much better. Like, I love it, and I love his insight. And again, another testament to the simulator kids, man. I mean, it's like the movie Gran Turismo. Ah, look at this drift wizard. What's up, brother? How we doing, boys? And this is how the top 16 Royal Purple bracket is shaping up. Again, whittling from the Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. We're more than halfway through. See the battles. Turk Hughes, big battle to watch. Haley Dean, and of course, the big one is Odie Bakshis and Shanahan. That's really going to dictate. But we have some time, man. What's going through Odie's mind right now?
Yeah, I think, Odie's going to be watching runs, understanding what Shanahan's able to do. And, we're talking about two of the best chasers in drifting, period. So it's going to be nuts.
Woo! It's going to get nuts. Hopefully you don't have a peanut allergy because we got a whole barrel full. When we come back here at Type S Elevated here at Utah Motorsports Campus, don't go anywhere. A few more battles left. The Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32.
I'm Ryan Turk, and I'm super proud to announce Rain-X's all-new wiper blade design, the Turk and SUV Heavy Duty Series.
Whoa, cut! Ryan, it's the truck and SUV blade. It says it right there.
These new blades are specifically designed for truck and SUV windshields. They're tougher and built for rugged weather. Like I said, the all-new Rain-X truck and SUV blade, engineered not to be turked in tough conditions and built for your truck or SUV. Get a pair today, only at AutoZone. I still like the idea of a Turk and SUV blade.
Turn your passion into a career at the University of Northwestern Ohio. From high performance to automotive, diesel, and everything in between, you'll find a degree that will get you a job.
Students that go through our programs have fantastic experiences and they come out getting good job placements.
70% hands-on, no out-of-state tuition, and accredited degrees in trades that are in high demand all across the country.
10 out of 10. If you even think this is the right place for you, you better just go.
Learn more about your future at unoh.edu.
You looking for a little trouble? You like watching things get broken? Like barriers? Glass ceilings? And records? Then this playoff season, we're looking for you.
Join us at Toyota Racing.
Look at that Nitto tire just rip.
Been holding power you make for 30 years. But here's the real question. How much torque are you making? Because every single ACT clutch is rated by the torque produced at the crank. That's all your clutch cares about. Your power, your performance, your success. Unrivaled precision, power, and durability. Visit advancedclutch.com today. 30 years of precision engineering and performance excellence. Because every revolution starts at the crank.
And we are back here at Utah Motorsports Campus. And you can see the gravel there, the pits, the fans on the hill. Tonight we celebrate the Pro Spec Championship, the drivers. We got a little cocktail mixer and parties. And then after the final round, Irwindale, October 18th and 19th, obviously seating. And then, yeah, how we doing, homeboy? We're going to have the Pro Banquet and Championship banquet dinner.
I will say the karaoke after the banquet was my favorite part last year. Yeah, I had a blast.
Okay, I don't remember it.
No comment.
Remember, the judges were split. So Brian Eggert said shared fault. Vernon said, he said Kazuya Taguchi, the lead car. And then Robin Ishida said that it was Ben Hobson.
Ben
Hobson. So when it comes down to the second run, just going to keep it simple. It's going to be very difficult. And we'll elaborate on the verdict on this run. Crazy things have happened. Here's Ben Hobson, confident. Here he is in head-to-head battles. He's had kind of a tumultuous season, getting to harness that bucket Bronco, learning the car. He has a Ford Mustang of his own. I almost said Bronco, but that isn't. But an Alex Lee. Here we go. So Ben Hobson now out front. Kazuya Taguchi in the chase position. Big initiation there from Ben Hobson. He throws a lot of angle at it. And now making it real clear into the second outside zone. Kazuya Taguchi getting thrown off here by Ben Hobson going gangster with the, It's a Penzo Ford Mustang. That almost looked like a Chelsea Denofa initiation. Kazuya Taguchi, nowhere to be. Oh, and Ben Hobson goes off. Holy cow. And we did what? And Ben did have a right front tie rod bent that they did replace. So here we are.
Okay.
So yeah, let's run it back. First, the initiation was wildly aggressive, as Ryan said, making it clear, going for the gusto, but then going off track.
One, this is insane, so that's cool. But yeah, look at Ben Hobson, and then does Kazuya zero? That's the next question, because if they both double zeroed, that makes this even more difficult. But yeah, let's get back to this. I don't even know what to say, because Ben Hobson was there. He was ready to go and then just pushes the car wide. But then Kazuya does zero, but does he zero when, oh my God.
So he incompleted, so watch. Ben Hobson goes for a gangster gusto entry.
This is crazy.
I mean, it looks Chelsea-esque, right? Yeah. We've seen this. Kazuya, watch Kazuya. That's an incomplete, no, is it? No, he comes out of,
it's real close.
He comes out, Kazuya way offline.
Yeah, as you would.
But then watch this. So when does Ben go off, and is it inactive? Is he off course? Here goes, so Kazuya Taguchi, he shuts it down.
He shuts it down before Ben goes off.
Ben goes off.
So it's a double
timing
incomplete
thing.
So hang on. We have two incompletes now. No, I think I got this. I think I got this figured out. Right. We've got double zeros here.
Yeah.
Then with our judges, there's one that says a zero. The other says a zero for the other side. So those are all null and void. And then whatever Brian said, it doesn't matter, because we now have two judges with two double zeros. It should just be a one more time.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
this is the best case scenario
for both drivers, to be quite honest, and for the fans. Like whatever just happened on the previous run 1 and run 2. I mean, just look into this pen real quick.
Yeah, I know.
Like it didn't. Yeah, it just didn't happen. Insanity. I mean, that initiation by Ben Hobson, and to be honest, a lot of the drivers meaning yesterday, today, or excuse me, on Thursday, talking about that first outside zone and how you can't see it. That was just the most insane entry we've seen all weekend. And for Ben to have that contact, maybe he was trying to do that initiation in the chase.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if you back that, that's what I think he was trying to do behind Kazuya, to really just solidify like, yo, I'm going to go for it, and Kazuya was in his way.
What's crazy is we saw Chelsea Denofa do this in the old St. Louis layout.
Yep.
Then we saw a couple years later Adam LZ do this in New Jersey. He basically won the event with that initiation, if you remember that. And now we're seeing Ben Hobson do it. It's like you put in a certain amount of hours in these RTRs and you just unlock a new ability, which is hucking backies into initiation.
Yep.
That was sick.
It was crazy. It was wild, and again, we're basically, you know, kind of pontificating here on what the verdict is. Back to the point of here we are elaborating, getting the judge's verdict, you know, from them, Vernon, Brian, Robbie, and then we, you know, obviously want at a certain point we like to get the judges to elaborate on and how they came to that verdict. But overall, I would agree kind of with your sentiments, and that's where we were kind of getting to. But I think just at the end of the day, I think give the drivers respectfully what they want, what the fans want.
Yeah.
And I think the needle goes to OMT.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, they may prove me completely wrong at this point, but that's where my head goes to, is that we're looking at a double zero, and then on the other side we have one judge saying a zero, the other judge saying a zero for the other person, and then a shared fault. So it could be a double zero for that as well. That's my thought. Once again, I could be proved completely wrong, and if I am, we'll definitely ask for clarification.
Yeah, and you know, the scenario is the fans are excited. How you guys doing out there?
Yeah.
Might see yourself there on the big screen. Yeah, take a look. That's you guys. Stomp your feet, Salt Lake. Stomp your feet for me. Make some noise. Stomp your feet for me, if you will. All right, so I know the judges actually are taking a look at, did Ben affect anything Kazuya Taguchi? Was there a result? So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, they're basing it off their first run now, because this is a double zero.
Complete.
Yeah, null and void.
So based off the first call, Kazuya Taguchi, Ben Hobson. Oh, we got a Ben Hobson. Yeah. So there it is.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. There it is. Hey, we got there.
Yeah,
all right.
We figured it out, Jared.
Yeah.
We did it together.
So again, double incompletes on the second run.
Yeah.
Defect back to the first, and that was basically how it went. Robbie went with Ben Hobson.
Yep.
Vernon went with Kazuya Taguchi. Brian said shared fault, essentially go one more time. Boom. I think that played out in the most wild scenario, not that we've ever seen, but definitely a scenario that we've never seen.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy that
Brian,
we got that right.
You go now.
Yeah, I'm just happy we got that one right, because if I missed that one, I had a lot of explaining to do. Yeah, that was great. So we need a break.
Yeah,
I need a break.
I'm gonna crank some more Rockstar. Thank you guys so much. We'll be right back. I'm gonna take a breather. We'll be right back.
Is this it?
This is it!
Passionate about a life in racing? Circle track, drag racing, drifting, or monster jam. Find it all at the University of Northwestern Ohio.
The passion here is very different than I've seen in any other school. You guys set them up very, very well to succeed and to win in a big-time way.
The fact there's a school you can go to for racing is just a little bit insane, but it's very cool because it gives kids like me the opportunity to chase that dream.
See where your future can take you with a high-performance motorsports degree from the University of Northwestern Ohio.
If the first thing you think of when you see a pickup truck is this kind of hauling, we're looking for you. Join us at Toyota Racing.
Let's go!
So the next step was to get this thing on a proper ECU, especially with all the technology that Link has to offer.
Which should give us full communication and full control over all the sensors.
But so far, being able to log in and review every lap has been a huge plus.
To have Link pull through and step up for us and just help us out to be able to all pull it together.
That's all we need. Simple, cheap, easy, works, good ECU, weatherproof.
It's got enough IOs too, like we're doing tons of stuff. Oil, fuel pressure, boost control.
All those features I have thanks for the Link ECU.
What's up guys, Ben Hobson here, driver of the Pennzoil Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD, and we're doing the BC Racing clip tip today. My opinion on this new layout, for sure, the most important clip is outside zone 1. If you miss it, you're shallow. If you overshoot it, you're 3 tires off, and that's a 0 immediately. So this clip is the key to success on this track. If you set yourself up properly and you enter this turn 1 properly, and you set yourself in this zone, the rest of the track just smooth sailing, it flows, it's perfect. But if you miss this zone, you're struggled to get to the next zone, and then it just messes the track up from there. So as long as you hit outside zone 1 in this track, I believe you're money on this track. And this has been your BC Racing clip tip.
All right, there it is. Ironically, Ben Hobson giving the BC Racing clip tip right there. And I'm getting an update that Ben's car is essentially not 100%. He bent that tie rod, but also I'm getting word from the spotter that they believe the strut tower is actually bent.
Yeah.
So it's still, you know, so he says, hey, you might want to know that he's still broken. So just letting everybody know that he's driving on not 100% car, so he doesn't suck, is what he said.
Yeah. No, we kind of got into what the what basically could have happened and how that would have affected the car and why he may have gone off in 3 because of something called wedge, but that's for another day.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. Jonathan Hurst in the Mr. Cool Cadillac going against the Comp Cams, Kenda Tire, Corvette of Taylor Hull. Here we go, leaving that start line. Here comes Taylor Hull. Chasing down again. Pride of Paducah. Cash Racing, Jonathan Hurst into that first outside zone. Good job from him. Taylor Hole going to take a look at that overhead, see where his vehicle was. Don't want to speak too soon here. Good angle there from Jonathan Hurst. Taylor Hole flirts with the edge of the track. And Hurst now bringing it on in. A 3. Ooh, Mr. Cool gets a little Mr. Dirt. So Jonathan Hurst brings it across the line. Some separation there, going back and forth. You know, like I said, I don't want to speak too soon. I want to see that overhead of where Taylor's car was in the chase. I think this is going to be really telling.
Yeah, and Hurst, I mean, the initiation wasn't amazing. You can see like big e-brake pull and then like kind of gets back on throttle partway through the zone. So it wasn't an amazing initiation, but Taylor Hall definitely on the inside of that. Does a good job now to kind of get back into the fight halfway through the second zone, but then falls a little bit deeper. It's tough to say. And then Hurst, I mean, everything looks good, but just doesn't add enough angle into the second half of the third outside zone. But look at 1, 2, 3, like almost a 3-second handbrake drag, which is not really what the judges are looking for. They'd rather you kind of slow down and then float into it. I will say it probably choked Taylor up a little bit, but
to that degree.
Yeah, see, and that's the tough part is like how much does it choke him up, right? So it definitely would have affected him in some way, but also the other two zones needed some cleanup as well. So you know you could potentially say that it messed up a little bit in the first zone, but after that, I mean, you should be more or less back in the fight as we take a look here at Ben Hobson's car.
Keep in mind that with that contact, Kazuya Taguchi and talking about Ben Hobson there, they both used their competition timeouts because it was, you know, fault, boom, so they had to utilize that. So Ben Hobson really needs to thrash to work on this car because he does not have that. So yeah, not a ton of time. So hopefully they get the car at least up to snuff or at least somewhere in the vicinity of. Here we go, Taylor Hole now out front. He's got the clean air. Jonathan Hurst in the chase position. Wrangler kind of inspired the old school Dale Earnhardt livery once again for Taylor Hole into that first outside zone. Let's see how, looking a lot more comfortable out front. Jonathan Hurst trying to stick it to the door. See come unwound a little bit for both the drivers. Now transitioning into that last outside zone. Jonathan Hurst, again, just back and forth. And Jonathan, good proximity. Taylor could have been a little more back. This is really leaving it in the judge's hands. Not really sinking the sword in, not diving in. Just a lot of little mistakes accumulating to get a little tighter and righter.
I think both of them lacked commitment overall. There was some hesitancy in initiation on both sides, some hesitancy when it came to the chase on both sides. So it's not really the battle we'd love to see from them, but let's take a look here with our BC Racing custom coilover side by side. So Jonathan Hurst in the lead on the left, slightly better job there. Neither of their chases were amazing to the first outside zone. Second outside zone, I mean, Taylor Hall actually got in a little bit closer through a good chunk of that. Hurst took a little bit to get in. Now through the third outside zone, Hurst, I would say, had a much better chase there. But Taylor didn't drop a wheel. So, that's kind of the trade-off there.
The bits and the bobs, the details that
the nicks and the necks.
What's that?
I said the nicks and the necks.
Oh, the checks and the mix.
Yeah. Ooh, checks mix. Haven't had that in forever.
I know you're a big
bits and
meat
bites.
guy. Big meat guy. I know, carnivore over here.
Yeah, he's we're eating bacon.
Got some bacon.
Just a bag of bacon.
All right, so taking a look at Smash Cam, the overhead view.
Yeah, so it takes a little bit for Taylor to get into that first outside zone, and then Jonathan a bit more hesitant through there, and then Taylor gets in, gets one wheel out, has to add some more angle to it. Hurst now, same thing, just kind of fighting back and forth. It looks like it just took a bit for Taylor to get settled. Just both cars, just very, the drivers are doing a lot of work, is really what it comes down to. And I mean, that's a sign of the cars being pretty wound up and fighting really hard to get into where they need to be. So let's take a look here as the judge's decision comes up.
One more time. I agree with that call. Yeah. And again, I don't think that's. Again, we're trying to minimize one more times, but I think that makes sense. Again, both of them they have the opportunity to really kind of shine, and both of them had mistakes. But yeah, right there, they were just like 80% overall. So
yeah, they were decent.
Keeping the engine cool.
Yeah, I mean, you got the time, right? You want to cool everything down, but yeah, James Dean getting his head in there as well.
All right, taking a look at Ben Hobson's car, blowing it out, getting all the dust out, getting that car back up snuff. Let's throw it down to Lorette Nickel.
You can see there's a lot of hands on the car and walking around trying to diagnose what the problem is. Ben came back and said the steering didn't feel right after he landed. So right now the team double checking the alignment and trying to identify if there is an issue.
All right, thank you so much as we are taking a look here. And as you can see, all hands on deck here. Oh, my man's overheating right now. Get that man a beverage. Look at these guys. Go Steelers for my man right here. All right, the Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. Let's advance on to Trenton Beecham and Rudy Tootie, Rudy Hansen. Rudy Hansen just got off his jet ski here. Just got off the Salt Lake. I met the designers of his T-shirts. They're like,
oh, they're so good.
Yeah, they got the Rudy Hansen Sasquatch over there. Here we go. Trenton Beecham, Rudy Hansen. Let's see what we got. The next entire Clonex BMW. Ooh, I saw that hesitation. You saw in the cockpit. You saw his wheels kind of not be exactly where they were. Looks like he almost had a little beehive action. Into the second outside zone. Rudy tucks in. And Rudy comes in that last outside zone. Oh, Rudy He gets thrown off. Goes rallycross on us. Let's take a look at this again. I don't think Trenton let him off to that. Rudy kind of, again, Trenton had some mistakes out of the gate.
Yeah.
Saw him go off. Rudy adjusted properly, but the outside zone 3, that threw him off.
Yeah, Trenton was basically lighting it up right from the get-go. It almost goes 3 wheels off. If there's another angle up, maybe he did, but I don't think so. Second outside zone doesn't look too bad. Takes a little bit for Trenton to really light off. And then, I mean, Rudy just kind of diving in, bobbing and weaving, trying to find his spot in the line, overshoots it by trying to catch up, and then goes real far off as Trent Beecham throws a little bit of dirt in the air as that massive dust cloud starts to move our way. But yeah, Beecham, not too bad. Just over-committing to a lot of parts and not super smooth. I do like the way that he's lighting off right from the line, but it needs tidying. All the roots are there. You know, the run's got good bones. I just need him to tidy things up. Well, Rudy Hansen in the chase just looked a little bit panicky. You know, trying to figure out where he needs to be, diving in and really overdriving the car. Whereas if he was a little bit more hesitant, pulling back a little bit, let Beecham do what he needs to do out in the lead, it might have gone a little bit better for him. So we flip back here, taking a look. It looks like they still got one corner of the car jacked up. Maybe taking a look at that suspension setup of Ben Hobson there. And you know, he's probably watching his run back as well, wondering how he's going to do another backy.
The tail of the tape. Does he even make that approach given the condition of his vehicle? Can he trust fall? Can he trust fall the Ford Mustang in that outside zone? Also, keep in mind, now he's in that chase position. I think he's going to tread a little lightly given the car's not 100%. But when you dial back that Ford Mustang, that's where he kind of had the problems. Learning this car now throw some damage at it. You never know. Sometimes it's like, you know, when you crash a car, you're like, screw it, I'm gonna go, you know, full out now.
Yeah, we saw that with Ryan Turk years ago when he had that big hit in Long Beach. I mean, he came back a couple of events later and ended up winning it. I think
that car got written off.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, just like, you know, obviously it kind of shakes the cobwebs loose, or you see, you're like, this is the worst it could be, right? All right, cool, let's move on.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's the best analogy because he still was shaken, but it was getting back on that horse and gaining confidence. I always say, like, you know, you get a race helmet freshly painted, you kind of drop it.
Yeah.
You just get it out of the way. You're like, I know I'm going to scratch it, so you drop it once, and here we go. So let's see who's going to drop the hammer here. Rudy Hansen, Trenton Beecham. Rudy Hansen, Team Hansen, comes into that first outside zone. Let's take a look. Rudy Hansen saw that car get lifted up into the second outside zone. Quick little lift there, and Rudy's popping wheelies, man. Now let's see this transition. Trent Beecham, he is right there, hanging out in the smoke. Beecham to the door of Rudy Hansen. He has to back off. You see that front bumper gets knocked off. Beecham surges ahead. Yeah, I like the aggression, but just take it back a little bit, and that would have shown car control as opposed to almost look bullish.
Yeah, the only thing I'm wondering was Rudy Hansen decelling in that area. There is no decel, so if he is slowing down at that point in time, then that's more or less on him. But, I mean, Hansen looks great first outside zone. Second outside zone takes him a little bit to get on power. Beecham being pretty hesitant as he slowly starts to push in. Then through the transition, it does look like Rudy kind of locked it up really quick while Beecham was transitioning, which is not something they're looking for them to do. My initial thought here is that Rudy may have checked up coming from 2 to 3, where he shouldn't be, and Beecham just straight line into it. So right there, see? That's my thought. Now, Beecham does a good job of locking it up and minimizing the damage, but obviously has some contact with Hansen through that part, so tough to say. Tough to say.
Yeah, again, if you're just joining us, this is round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship, Utah Motorsports Campus. I'm Jared Deanda. Jacob Gettins here. We are your tour guides throughout the day. A championship could be crowned today, but we won't find out until top 16. Here we go. Let's see the results for this battle. And it looks like Trenton Beecham gets the victory. Rudy Hansen going off, unfortunately sealed his fate. So Beecham doesn't hit the beach. Rudy Hansen does go into the beach. Unfortunately, he seals his fate. So Beecham strapped that bumper back on. We'll see him in top 16 here in Utah. A couple more battles left. We have to do the one more time of Hobson and Taguchi. And again, both those guys utilizing their comp time outs. And Hobson pulls away. What condition is that Pennzoil Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD? TBD at FD. Oh boy, here we go. This should be a good one. This is gonna be a great one.
Yeah. This is one of those ones when you're looking at the bracket, I was like, oh, I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, and you know, again, both V8 cars. You got, again, Matt Field. That thing is wound up. That car is at 11. Simon Olsen finding the sweet spot. You can see 1-1, so they are equal going against each other. Matt 1-1 against Simon Olsen, and Simon 1-1 against Matt Field. 69%, nice winning percentage there in overall matches. 54% for Simon Olsen, and there they are in the double bob, the double burnout box. We have one more times to revisit after this if we do get a verdict here. Again, Taguchi versus Hobson, and we will revisit Hurst and Hull.
I believe Simon had one of his best runnings here. It was like 2 years ago when he was still in the Super. I think it was 4th he got. So I did chat with him a little bit. He's not super happy with the changes here, but he's adapting to it. This, but watching his practice, I don't think it took long for him to figure it out.
Here we go, checking out, getting my man TJ on the GoPro cameras. Had some words with him yesterday. We take for granted how quick he is.
Yeah, he's so quick.
Putting the Vector on, you can see the Vector. That's kind of the wind vane atop Simon Olsen's vehicle. It actually moves with the wind and the activation of the vehicle. So here we go. Matt Field, the Perla Heatwave Visual, Lean Customs, Corvette, the Beast from the Bay. 777 initiates that first outside zone. Dials it in, that first one. Simon Olsen in tow, hops forward, and Matt Field, you can see locking up those Sportstar wheels, and now going that last outside zone. Simon Olsen not exactly matching the angle of Matt Field. Aggressive, the Beast of the Bay. He does dip that tire, but it doesn't end up grabbing his wheel. So got a little bit of good luck there because, again, those ruts, it looks very deceiving, but you'll see some big ruts, and we saw that yesterday with Pro Spec. It could grab your wheel, spin you around, jump you up, break a wheel, DB a tire as well. We saw that.
Yeah, Simon Olsen really aggressive on the initiation, almost adding more angle than Matt Field did. Does a good job through the first outside zone. Comes out of the zone at the same spot, and then Matt Field really adds a ton of speed through that crossover. Now Simon Olsen has to really get the car dialed as Matt Field locks it in through the second half of that second outside zone. Going into our third one, this is where Matt Field really pushes wide, gets one wheel in there, and then Simon also has to scrub some angle out to keep up. But I like the way that Simon almost supersedes what Matt is doing, and that allows him to stay in the fight through this section. And then Matt Field gets basically into the second outside zone 20 feet before he even needed to. But that Corvette is so fast, and even Simon Olsen with that fuel suspension, S14.9, he's still having to put the pedal down and really try and keep up with it. It's rare to see a field car not being able to keep up door to door.
Yeah.
So Simon did a lot to I wouldn't say cut the line a ton, but pull some angle out. Like he played all the tricks that he could to get into the pocket, but that Corvette is really, really quick.
Yeah, just adapting, trying to hang tough with Matt Field. And again, Matt's just been a busy boy over the last couple of years, I'd say. And just building a really cool program, a good team, just good energy, him and his wife and the Drift Cave and just where he's at, his focus, he was a real hopeful for championship contender this year, but just some things didn't work out.
Matt took his time getting back to the line, both on the loop around and here, so I'm kind of curious. I'm not, I don't want to get too far ahead. Could be. He was very slow turning around. Definitely took his time getting back to the line. We'll see if that comes into play here.
Simon Olsen out front. And there goes Matt Field lunging again. The chase car is allowed to leave the start line prior to the lead car. And tip to tail with Matt Field. Look at aggressive. He is making his presence felt. Does not rattle the Norwegian pilot of Simon Olsen in his second outside zone. Simon, look at this. Matt almost trying to force an error. Hey, I'm right here, bro. The beast of the bay, the fangs, the claws, it's all out. Trying to sink him in. Transition that last outside zone. Simon Olsen right there. Good line by Olsen. Matt Field, amazing chase there. I mean, he is practically riding shotgun with Olsen. The crowd erupts here in Utah.
Yeah, it was a great run from both of them. I know Simon realized how fast Matt was going to be, and he had to do something in order to shake him. So look at this initiation here. Simon just holds it and holds it and holds it, then gets onto the power, but Matt Field predicts it. Matt taking a straighter line approach and then letting Simon pass in front of him. And then Simon here, not able to get all the way into the second outside zone. Matt almost deeper in the second outside zone, converting over into our third. Both drivers look really, really good here. This is like a top 4 battle we're seeing in top 32. Judges already asking for a side-by-side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, the side-by-side is definitely necessary here. Just seeing that, because you're seeing both cars in frame. I mean, they're like a video game, like the ghost car that you kind of try to beat them, but obviously with drifting, you go side-by-side, and that was really great lead run, as you nailed it, Jacob.
Matt's patience. Like, Matt had to wait for what probably felt like forever to get Simon Olsen to pass in front of him between 2 and 3. And if you mistime that at all, I mean, you're going to be way shallow, or you're just going to run into the car.
Yeah, you kind of balk and make that mistake on your own accord.
Yeah, so let's see if we can find any big differences, especially in the lead. So both drivers doing a pretty good job there. I would say, yeah, Simon leaves a little bit earlier through the first outside zone. And then Matt gets into the second outside zone really, really early. And almost a little bit deeper through the first half of that. Transitioning out into our third. And both drivers look great through the third outside zone. Matt's got a bit more proximity in the chase.
And you got to bring it up. A little tire drop for Matt Field.
A little bit, yeah.
That last outside zone, so a little bit of dirt being thrown up. And looks like, again, we have the judges. Did they put their verdict in? It looks like they did. And going to the fans, they're saying the fans are saying 58% Matt Field, 21% Olsen, and 20% one more time. So
interesting.
The fans speaking on the chat, the verdict is in. That's the only reason I say that, because it's already in, so it doesn't affect the judges. Slide him left for Field, right for Olsen, and Matt Field gets the win. And I see your head nod there, Jacob. What was the definitive factor there for you?
I mean, Matt was basically predicting when Simon was gonna make his transitions, where Simon was gonna go in the zones, and that allowed him just to keep a ton of proximity. That's what you have to do here. You basically have to make the move before the lead driver does.
Really anticipated. Yeah. He dropped in a lot of confidence there, and Simon, he was in the mix. But back to what you said with Simon chasing. The beast from the bay has got a beast of a car.
Yeah, it's so fast.
It's so fast, and the side bite there, with being so fast, he still maintains that angle. The car is settled, and so is that S15. So Simon, unfortunately knocked out, but we'll see it at Irwindale, homeboy. Let's go back to these sliding bananas. They got unpeeled there on that first battle. So one more time, if you didn't see it, roll the tape back, and after this battle, who's going to win? Kazuya Taguchi, Up Garage, ISR Performance, FRS, or BRZ, or 86. Here we go. Ben Hobson, Penzo, Mustang RTR Spec 5FD. Looks like, all right, he dials it back. Now transition that second outside zone. Kazuya Taguchi dials it in. Ben Hobson, again, how good a percentage, how healthy is the car? Well, right now it's in a bath of smoke. Now to that last outside zone, Ben Hobson could dive back a little bit. Good proximity, almost loses it. Again, winding that thing up. Whew. Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, I know.
It's only 32, baby.
This is stressful. This is very stressful. All right, let's take a look here. So yeah, Ben Hobson definitely dialing things back a little bit. Kazuya Taguchi gets into the zone a little bit late. Now Ben Hobson gets pulled on just a touch. Able to get the speed back in. Now Kazuya Taguchi doing an amazing job through the second outside zone. Ben pulling a little bit of angle out of the car and getting that line, but does it a bit too late, pushing him even further back behind Kazuya Taguchi. But I love what Ben does here. Same angle, but just pulls a little bit of line and we get that contact right at the very end, a little body check, if you will. So Ben Hobson pulling some extra, like very expert level moves here. Just the timing was not where it needed to be. You can see him superseding there, but once he is able to get back into the pocket, Kazuya's already gone. So the RTR is fast. There's no doubt about it. It's one of the fastest cars on grid.
Yep.
Ben's able to utilize that where he needs to, but we don't want him to have to utilize it. We want to see it nice and smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. The human chihuahua watching Jeremy Renner.
Oh.
Yeah, yep. I know he's out there watching. And, you know, we'll see what kind of consolation prize he gets here. The Drift Wizards out there, the fans hyping it up. Thanks for joining us here in Utah. All right, I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Yeah, I'm glad we get to see this again.
Yeah, I'm glad it went to one more time. It was precarious, dude. it was ruthless.
So yeah, we're going to be swapping him around now, and I mean Ben's going to have to pull out all the stops. Are we going to see another backy? We're going to see something maybe a little more modest. I don't know.
Yeah, again, I think it really is. The telling factor is how healthy is the car, how much confidence he has in the car. You know, he's arguably with one of the best teams in the world, RTR. Here we go. So Ben Hobson, Pennsylvania Mustang RTR out front, Nitto tires across the nose of Kazuya Taguchi into that first outside zone. Modest didn't do that backy entry, and Kazuya Taguchi looks like he's having a tough time there, hanging with that Mustang, and there he is out front with the fresh air. Big angle there for Hobson. Kazuya Taguchi back quite a bit. Now he dives in that last outside zone. Ben Hobson riding the edge of the course, and Kazuya Taguchi tries to thread the needle on the Ford Mustang.
Bro.
I think Ben Hobson hit up, down, left, right, BA. I mean, he got 99 lives there, and the angle ain't one, if you know what I mean. So that was a great run there by Ben Hobson.
I am absolutely flabbergasted as to how he's able to hold the angle through some of these zones. So Ben gets in a little bit late because he's got to pull some angle out to get through that zone. But then take a look here. Ben Hobson just locks it in. Now, it could have been slightly deeper, but look at this. Just more angle all the way through that zone. Sets him up so well. Slingshots. So does Kazuya Taguchi to keep up. And then right here, Ben Hobson just full lock all the way through. Even Kazuya is probably looking at this like, I have no idea how this is happening. But I don't think we've seen anybody put that much angle through the zones consistently like we saw Ben Hobson in that RTR Mustang. That was absurd.
Yeah, that was really, this is his season, you know. It's just progressively just stacked on, just leveled up. But again, judges still have not put in their verdict, so let's look at the BC Racing Go for Gold side by side.
Yeah, I mean, the angle is definitely good. Did he get the line? I mean, that's obviously going to be the biggest part of it. So, oh man, in the chase, I mean, Ben's looking good. I mean, we see that hesitation back and forth. Kazuya Taguchi does a really good job in the chase of holding that line down. Maybe not quite as well as what we saw with Ben, and then through the second half of our third outside zone, they're pretty much tied to that. So it's going to come down to first and second, and at least in my mind. But yeah, really, really tough battle there.
And keep in mind, this is the one more time after just we saw the contact there between them, and then you know, the second run of that battle, you know, Ben goes off, but independently Kazuya Taguchi straightens out, both getting completes, defaults to a run that we saw a car jump. We're not talking about the Nitro Cross jump out here on track. We're talking about just contact. Check out my man's chair, my hammock.
Yeah, look at both of them. You got a hammock. We got
hammock, homie, dude.
It's great. Utah knows chairs, man.
There's some events where I'm like, dude, can I just quit? I'm just gonna go drink beer and watch it. Let's do that. All right, Kazuya Taguchi, Ben Hobson, one more time. One more time, let's do it again, and one more time. They almost looked identical.
Yeah.
Like, again, both yellow cars, they did the same things at the same points, both lead and chase. They had some mistakes, so, man, these guys are just like, I feel like it's one of those videos of like seeing a UFC fight, and they're just all banged up and bruised, like, just after the fight, the post-fight, they're all.
I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah, like power slap, man. So ice cold beer here. All right, so grab a beer, grab a good time, grab a Rockstar, like Jacob and I. Jacob, you crushed yours already?
Yeah, I got 2 down.
Holy cow!
And now we're just in top 32.
Oh boy. Got bacon bites, Rockstar. My man's getting after it.
Living life. I'm living life, Jared.
YOLO.
Yeah.
You only live, laugh, love once. Look, got some lemonades. All right.
They got roasted pecans over there.
What?
I am a sucker for a roasted pecan.
Roasted pecan.
Yeah. Is it pecans or pecans?
I'd say pecan.
Pecan? Pecan sounds cooler too.
Pecan.
Like pecan. You're like, pecan.
You pecan't.
Yeah, exactly.
Pecan't say pecan.
Yeah. You can pecan all you want.
Yeah. Jonathan Hurst, Taylor Hull back to the one more time. All nuts aside, let's get nuts. Jonathan Hurst, Taylor Hull. Ooh, we got, is that a restart?
He's got the tarp off too.
All right, so it's a restart as these guys are getting restarted over here.
Been bugging Hurst. That is a
Phone was hit.
that hard top comes off. So I've been like, Hurst, man, you gotta take the tarp off, man.
Dude, drop top.
I know.
Flip flops, tank tops, slap chop, bikini, linguini. Remember that one?
You really missed out on a career in rap. I don't know. I really. I know you
no.
know Killer Mike.
But
Mike, hook this man up with the deal.
No,
please.
No. Yeah, we're working on something actually. Mike and drifting.
Okay.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
I'm
Keep
here.
it off the streets, kids. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
All right, here we go. Let's see the restart here. Rack them and track them. Mr. Cool, that's the name. That name again is Mr. Cool. Coming in is that of Jonathan Hurst, Cash Racing, Cash Money, with the Dutch out the sunroof saying money anything. Mr. Cool. There we go. Pride of Paducah, Taylor Hull, the Comp Cams, Kenda Tires, Corvette. Now transitioning, second outside zone. You can see him hanging tough into that last outside zone. All right, Taylor Hull's trying to track him down. Jonathan Hurst, woo, taking those signature wheels to the dirt, but they fight back. Big exhale from you. Why is that?
He looked so dialed.
Who?
Like Hurst looked like he had it all figured out, and then just through the second half of that third outside zone, it starts falling apart. Now Taylor Hull really coming in on the inside, tried to do that predictive move, overcommitted just a touch. Now Hurst, first outside zone looks good. Second outside zone, bit of a wobble there, but gets it dialed in. You can see Taylor trying to figure out where he needs to be. Now this transition looks great. Everything looks really good, and then starts to push wide, and then 4x4 mode engaged for that super shiny Cadillac. It is definitely wild. If you get a chance to see it in person, it is truly astonishing how reflective that car is. But Taylor Hull, he's fighting to keep up with the XLR. Really, these are both kind of Corvettes, all things considered. But yeah, it just looks like Hurst has got a good 10 miles an hour on him, and Taylor Hull just trying to keep up with him, pulling a bunch of angle out of it to keep in the fight, and Hurst just putting on the Jets. So
Benny and the Jets?
Putting on the Ritz.
Putting on the Ritz. Crackers. Kazuya Taguchi looking at the tail of the tape, got some more fuel in there. Fresh GT radials for the Japanese pilot. And we'll revisit that, not once, not twice, but 3 times for that of Ben Hobson and Kazuya Taguchi. Now pulling back to the line, Taylor Hull, again, the Intimidator Wrangler-inspired livery coming to us from Georgia.
What do you think's next?
What?
What livery do you think he's going to go with next year? He's got this history of classic NASCAR liveries. Yeah, I'm just curious.
Another Dale Earnhardt doing it. 3 ever. 3 ever, baby, not 4 ever. Taylor Hull, Comp Cams, Kenda Tires, Corvettes. All right, here we go, tip to tail. The hood is off. Let's drop the roof, and there we go. Taylor Hull looking a lot more comfortable out front, and look at Jonathan Hurst. Jumps up, has to back off. They kind of just surge back and forth like the tide. And now in that last outside zone, Jonathan Hurst, ooh, a little shimmy there from Taylor Hull. Yeah. He takes a shallower Hull. So what's interesting there is Hurst was already on a shallow line, but Taylor Hull kind of joined him in that lead position. Not the ideal line on that outside zone 3, but they do complete the run. Hurst did get to the dirt. Obviously, that's going to kind of be a deduction.
Yeah, both of them seem to be struggling with the latter half of outside zone 3. So initiation looks pretty good from Taylor Hull. Jonathan Hurst does a pretty decent job of mirroring, transitioning into the second outside zone. Taylor gets in decent, but then overcommits just a little bit, comes out of that zone a bit early, isn't able to really get through. And Hurst actually puts a tire on the door of Taylor Hull through that section. Both of them starts to power through, and you can see Hull everything looks good when he gets back on the throttle, though. Doesn't have enough angle put into the front wheels and starts to drive out of it. Yeah, I didn't even notice that on the first one. Jonathan Hurst just leaving a few marks on the side of that livery through this section. But yeah, Taylor Hull seems he's not looking comfortable, not looking, like he's settled into the car. He's fighting it a little bit, pushing through. But yeah, right there, that's the big mistake. So the question is, missing that part of the zone going shallow, does that supersede Jonathan Hurst going a little bit too deep through that part of the zone? So lots of things to consider as we go down to the judges.
And here it is. Jonathan Hurst gets 1, 2, and a 3. It's unanimous. The Mr. Cool Cadillac XLR gets the win. Mr. Cool Jonathan Hurst, Pride of Paducah, gets the win. Unfortunately, Taylor Hull, Comp Cams, Kenda Tire Corvette knocked out. One more battle left. And if you're just joining us, Jared Deanda, Jacob Gettens, and the scenario is the championship is up for grabs still. 104 points separate Odie Bakshis with James Dean in the lead. If James Dean matches Odie's finish, basically he gets the championship. So again, Odie Bakshis needs to do better than James Dean to stay alive to go to the final round of the Formula Drift Championship at the House of Drift, Irwindale, California. So again, both James Dean and Odie are in top 16. And again, if James Dean supersedes Odie Bakshis' results or betters it, we have a 24 Formula Drift champion of James Dean, the first ever 4-time champion. We will see again. So our first battle, or our last battle, excuse me, before we have our break. So we'll be right back here in Utah.
New Fast Orange Body Wash was formulated specifically with mechanics in mind from the #1 brand in heavy-duty hand cleaning. You never know what you're getting into when you're working in the shop. The new body wash takes care of everything from my dirty hands, arms, and face to simply make me feel clean all over. Tiny wax beads help get the toughest dirt out, while also taking care of the strongest automotive odors like fuel, oil, and exhaust too. It's ideal for those areas of skin that are exposed to grease and grime during the day, but gentle enough to use all over your body. Find new Fast Orange Body Wash at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We are battling elevation at this track, which creates a loss of power on our engine. So we try to make up that gap. We spin the turbo at pretty much its maximum shaft speed, which is about 117,000 RPM. And whatever pressure that makes is what it is. We're just trying to make up that gap of about 120 horsepower loss from where we were at. The other thing that we can do is bigger nitrous jets in the engine and generate a little bit more power there. But there's a fine line and a fine balance of how much you really want to push the engine and lean on it. The Papadakis engines have been super reliable this year, and we want to keep it that way. So take it from Turk, don't spin your turbo too fast.
Everything here has all been in the pursuit of one thing.
Yeah, awesomeness.
You knew my father?
We all used to race together.
It's an invitation from Dr. Synth.
The age of human driving must come to an end. I propose we settle this once and for all with a simple challenge.
Let's see how Team Grit does against a racing model, the Synth Supreme.
Going back, here we are going back to the second one more time. So essentially this is the third battle between Hobson and Taguchi. And again, if you didn't see the first battle between them, Kazuya was leading, Hobson bangs on him, jumps the car, and then the second run, independently, Kazuya straightens out, that's an incomplete, and then moments after that, Hobson goes off course, so boom, one more time. Now we had a good, clean battle. I mean, they did almost simultaneously the same things, not simultaneously, but identically, they did the same things, lead versus lead, chase versus chase, but now, here we go, slide bananas, banana split, who's gonna get the victory? Kazuya Taguchi and Ben Hobson. Carl Taylor's watching, here we go, Up Garage ISR Performance, that first outside zone, Kazuya Taguchi, Ben Hobson, kind of taking a shower line, here we go, again, with Kazuya Taguchi out front, Ben Hobson, dialing it back a little bit, lifting that front right tire, and now transitioning into that last outside zone, Hobson makes a correction, Kazuya Taguchi, he puts it right on that course edge. Hobson maybe giving Kazuya Taguchi a little too much breathing room to really highlight the placement of his car. Kazuya Taguchi is running his own line in that Up Garage ISR Performance Jerry Yang Racing vehicle.
Yeah, so, I mean, Kazuya Taguchi took a little bit to get into that first outside zone, and Ben having to cut a lot of line to be able to get into that section. Now Taguchi looking really good through the second zone, and Ben now really pushing the pace. And Ben actually dives in just a little late at the very end of that zone. He has to check up, which allows Kazuya Taguchi to stretch his legs a bit and push into that third zone a little bit sooner. And then Ben has to catch up through the last half of that. He's going to shape out a bunch of angle in order to get back on the door. So you can see it, first outside zone, Kazuya a little bit late getting in there. Ben not quite as deep as we'd like him to see, because we want to see them get into the same zone. This is where Ben looks really, really good. But at this last dive right here, you can see he has to check up as Kazuya launches into the third. And now Ben's got to play catch up to the rest of that zone. So one very, very small mistake has a massive repercussion for the latter half of that run.
That ripple effect.
That's it. Just
right
a
from
very
the start.
small one.
Just pulling away, and just given that they've already had one more times, you kind of know where they're going to be at outside of that first wackadoodle run between both of them. We know that Kazuya's got it. Hobson, he's really hitting his stride. So this is our final battle of our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. One more, look at Turk versus Hughes, great battle. Haley versus James Dean, duh. Jeff Jones versus Brandon Sorensen. Of course, a lot of eyeballs. Bakshis and Shanahan, that really decides the 2024 championship. If Bakshis moves on, the championship hope is still alive. Hiro Manoa versus Chris Forsberg, old versus new. Not just talking age, but also veteran versus rookie. Osbo versus one of these two bananas. And then Adam LZ versus Jonathan Hurst. And finally, Beecham versus Matt Field.
Yeah, it's going to be a solid top 16.
All right, so seeing Ben Hobson, he is now out front with the pink tail off the back of that Pennzoil Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD on Nitto tires. Kazuya Taguchi, Vaughn, I know you're watching. I don't know how you did out at Crandon, but Lauren Healy, Fun Haver off-road team. Here we go. Ben Hobson swings it across the nose of Kazuya Taguchi one more time. He does take out that cone, so he exceeds just a little bit. Now coming to that second outside zone, he's lifting that front right once again. Styles for miles, three-wheel motion, like a lowrider. Now coming to that last outside zone, Kazuya Taguchi dives in. Does it pay off? Kind of takes an inside, shallower line, but he does have that proximity. That was very reminiscent of the previous battle. Kazuya gave him some room and then lunged forward to get close.
Yeah, they're tit for tat going back and forth on these. I mean, they're both making sacrifices in different places in order to get the cars where they need to be. So let's take a look here. Ben really getting these initiations down. I mean, we're not seeing the backies, but he does overshoot just a little bit going through that first outside zone. Now into the second, you can see Ben struggling to get the rear end into the zone completely, while Kazuya Taguchi does a good job of mirroring. Amazing transition through there. Would have liked to see Kazuya Taguchi push the car a little bit deeper into the zone, gets that proximity, gets that angle, just on a much tighter line through that section. So judges already asking for a side-by-side, so we can start to analyze this a little bit deeper. But yeah, you can see here Ben struggles a little bit to get it all the way through the second outside zone. Once he does, everything looks dialed. Kazuya, amazing transition there, and then is able to hold it, but has to surge the car forward in order to get the proximity back. So it's interesting. Every camera angle you can see just a little bit more, a little bit different. You got to use every single tool to really understand exactly which way this is going to go.
Analogously, it's like a boxing match. Right out of the gate, it was an uppercut. You know, Glassjaw Joe here, Mike Tyson's punch out. But then now I feel like they're just jabbing each other, right? But they're still just, they got swollen eyes, man. This is a battle. And we're only 32 for these guys.
Yeah, so Kazuya doesn't get as deep to the first outside zone, but Ben goes a little bit too deep to the first outside zone. The second outside zone, Kazuya, I mean, does a really good job, but Ben has a slightly better chase in it. Could be because Kazuya had a really good second outside zone. Third outside zone now, Ben gets into it really early, does a great job, but, you know, in the chase, he doesn't do as well. So same thing, back and forth. Not an easy call, not an easy call.
If Ben Hobson makes it in a 16, this is his first time being a top 16 in pro, in a Ford Mustang, first time this year. So this is a lot of people pulling for him in this corner, but Kazuya Taguchi, he wants to advance on. You know, again, he's got a lot of people. Jerry Yang knows how to build a car. Again, Hiro Manoa, that's who prepped. Okay, here we go. Kazuya Taguchi, Ben Hobson. We go one more time. We're going to get a winner. Kazuya Taguchi gets 1, 2. Kazuya Taguchi gets the victory and takes the win after some fast and furious battles going back and forth. Yeah, All right, so before, I want to hear from the judges real quick. Let's throw it down to Lorette, who's with the Beast from the Bay.
Just wanted to get a word from Matt on how this track is developing under this hot Utah sun.
You know, this morning it was really grippy, and I was kind of chasing the setup just a little bit, and we're the last battle, right, of top 32. I mean, they're finishing up, but we waited a long time, and the track has definitely changed, and the sun is out, and it's hot out here. But we're fortunate that we have the data, and honestly, the GT Radial is the tire to be on out here. It's super consistent, so when the track does change, you can lean on it just like you would in practice.
Okay, perfect. Matt, thank you so much. We'll see you in top 16. Jared?
There's a smile on his face. Sometimes he's a little too stoic, so he's got a little exhale. He's got the chill. He's feeling the heat wave. Got those heat waves with the side shields there. All right, I'm going to throw it over to Vernon here real quick. After multiple battles, Kazuya Taguchi gets the win. How did you guys unanimously come to that conclusion?
Woo, so we finally have a winner now. Well, the old saying, without a good lead, there's no good to chase, obviously. And it was, I think this was a typical example of that. Where Ben was a little bit shallow here and there. Still, Taguchi had a really good chase, but the other way around, Taguchi had a better lead, and therefore the chase looked a little bit better from Ben Hobson, but he get the opportunity from Taguchi. So overall, he got to win.
All right, Kazuya Taguchi with the better lead run overall, allowing Ben Hobson. All right, thank you so much. Well, with that insight there from our judges, thank you to our judges. And hey, you know what? Again, unfortunately, Ben Hobson did not make it for his first top 16 ever, but great driving. I think you learned a lot here, and we learned a lot. That's some great driving. And that first outside zone, not so much of an issue as all those drivers thought in that drivers meeting this morning.
Yeah, they got it figured out.
All right. So on behalf of Jacob Gens, I'm Jared Deanna, Lorette Nickel, Brian Egger, Vernon, Robin Ishida. We have a halftime break. I'll be over in the Type S booth at 2:45 signing some autographs with Mike Power. So come join us out there. Got some stuff we're going to give out. So again, if you're in the building, 2:45. Be sure to watch Send It. If you haven't seen it, watch Send It, the series. This is Type S Elevated, round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. We are back here in action, local time, top 16, United States Air Force opening ceremonies at 4 o'clock. So local time, 2:22. You do the math, 2:22 p.m. here, local time. Type S Elevated, the party continues, 4 p.m. local time here on the live stream and in the building at Utah Motorsports campus.
Never go slow or hard like a rhino.
On the cover, we gotta live pronto. Your friends like Colombo, we need a chance like Rondo. Gotta stop on the cover, we gotta live pronto. Your friends like Colombo, you be the judge like Rondo.